Chen is a regressor, back from a future where brutal demons completely conquered the entire world. As the last survivor, he fought for years before finally destroying the Demon King in a suicide blast. Then, following a blinding flash, he wakes up in his old college dorm room, feeling pretty confused and wondering if this is actually the afterlife. But once he peers out the window and spots normal students walking around, the shocking truth slowly begins to dawn on him, and he realizes his ultimate dying wish actually came true. He has somehow traveled 10 years back to his college days, when suddenly, a glowing hologram pops up to announce that his gluttony power is fully integrated. And check this out, looking out the window. He realizes he only has 3 years before Demon Lord Wrath descends. Chen clearly remembers that this single monster was responsible for the entire apocalyptic nightmare. Wrath was the beast who kicked open Hell's gates, letting all the other demon lords invade the human world. Chen decides he must locate exactly where Wrath will appear and assassinate him before those gates ever open. Focusing back, Chen stares at the strange blue system panel floating right beside him, which showcases his current stats, making him wonder if this is some game system, since he never had anything like this before. Back then, he only relied on his own awakened power, a gift held by just 1 in 10,000. The National Awakener University was built to recruit these elites, but when Chen attended the first time, he failed to awaken and became a regular target for bullies, which is why he just woke up in the clinic. Suddenly, a new panel flashes, displaying a rare lightning-type assassin class card, which he instantly recognizes as his old job. He gets startled, wondering if his awakening happened much earlier this timeline. He quickly prepares to test it, but before he can even swap classes, his roommate Ma Long suddenly walks in. Ma Long is a weak E-rank flower chanter, sporting fresh bandages while checking to make sure Chen is okay. Luckily, Ma Long is completely blind to the screens, proving Chen is the only one who can see them. His buddy examines him, completely shocked to see all of Chen's injuries are gone. How does an unawakened kid heal faster than him? Chen quietly looks at Ma Long, remembering how his roommate actually managed to awaken during college. Tragically, Ma Long remained one of the weakest fighters in the academy, and was brutally slaughtered just 3 days after Demon Lord Wrath descended. Chen quietly smiles, and honestly, it is great to see him alive. Ma Long then warns him that their big rank test is tomorrow, and they must prepare. Ma Long feels pretty bad, assuming Chen hasn't awakened, but warns him the test is vital for graduation. Walking down the crowded streets, Chen casually mutters that it has been ages since he saw this many living people, totally creeping the hell out of his roommate. Chen knows that if he stands by and does nothing, everyone is doomed to that exact same horrific future. To prevent that, he must train like a demon and power level fast, but there is a major problem. Right now, the only way for any awakener to harvest experience points is by slaughtering monsters inside the demon lairs, and those lairs are totally locked down by elite guilds, leaving an unawakened outsider like him with absolute zero chance to level up. He pulls up his screen to compare his stats against other awakeners and monsters. The state formally groups these warriors into ranks, stretching from E rank all the way to S class. Chen knows almost every college kid is hard stuck at E rank, with only a tiny elite scraping into D rank. He glances over at Ma Long and laughs quietly to himself, feeling pretty confident that his raw stats absolutely crush his buddies. Suddenly, a stray ball flies in and smacks the poor nerd, shattering his glasses instantly. It is the toxic bully Gong Chong and his lackey, the very same trash who thrashed them just yesterday. Gong Chong smirks, demanding why they did not deliver drinks when they knew the gang was playing here. Ma Long instantly bows, ready to run and buy the sodas with his own scarce cash. But Chen grabs his arm and snaps back, saying the only one who needs to apologize is Gong Chong. Facing this scumbag again triggers a sudden wave of dark, painful memories from the terrible day they literally tried to drown him in a sink. Instead of feeling bad, they laughed it off as a forced awakening, only stopping once Chen passed out cold. While Ma Long rushed to help, Gong Chong heard Chen mutter something and immediately came back to beat him worse. Snapping back, Chen makes up his mind to teach these bullies a lesson. Hearing Chen speak up, Gong Chong and his thugs step forward, dead set on shutting him up forever. Chen looks right at Chung, knowing the guy only preys on the weak because his older brother is the student council president. As the bully steps closer, other students crowd around, already feeling sorry for Chen and expecting him to get thrashed again. Once Chung reaches him, he demands to know what Chen just said. Unfazed, Chen calmly warns them to stop bothering him from now on. Furious, Chung totally snaps and throws a punch straight at his face. But this time, Chen simply raises his hand, blocking the strike with ease before easily shoving the bully back. Everyone watching is dead silent. They all know Chen is still unawakened, yet he just stopped a heavy blow like it was absolutely nothing. Seething with rage, Chung charges in for another attack. Chen calmly readies himself and instantly switches his class to Electric Assassin. Long stands nearby, totally dumbfounded. Chen activates his indestructible demon armor and charges forward with a massive strike. But before he can even land it, Chen flashes forward and blasts him away with a lightning-charged punch. I mean, just look at that. This supposed weakling just sent the school bully flying with one single strike. Even after taking a brutal blow like that, Chen refuses to back down, screaming at his lackeys to get in there and take revenge. But his lackeys are already shivering in terror after seeing what Chen can actually do. Chen forces his bruised body up and lunges at Chen once more, only to get instantly beaten down and blasted away without a fighting chance. Seeing their boss get absolutely destroyed like a rag doll, the lackeys realize they are totally outmatched and immediately flee. Watching this wild scene unfold, Long is left totally speechless. His jaw hits the floor as he struggles to accept that his roommate, who got trashed yesterday, is suddenly this strong. Meanwhile, Chen realizes that just like in his previous life, he can easily shift into his assassin state whenever he wants. Even at level 1, his base stats are high enough to crush low-level awakeners, meaning his current rank is at least D-class. Still, there is one critical thing he has to figure out: why hasn't the system given him a level up after this victory? Curious to test this, Chen steps forward as if to finish Chen off, sending the entire crowd into an absolute panic. Right at the last second, the Student Council Vice President, Ling Yu, steps in and firmly commands Chen to stop his advance. She reminds him that even though Chen started this mess, the beating he already got is more than enough payback. She promises that this bully won't dare to trouble him ever again, prompting Chen to finally relax his posture and let him go. But you have to wonder, why is the Student Council so desperate to step in and protect a trash bag like Chen? Even though Chen was only putting on a dramatic act and never truly planned on ending his life, he knows these guys need a real lesson, or they will just keep tormenting anyone weaker. With the matter settled, Chen walks away with his roommate. Watching from the shadows, the terrified lackeys whisper to each other that they should never, ever cross paths with Chen again. That night in the dorms, Long tries telling their roommates how Chen awakened as a ridiculously overpowered lightning assassin, but nobody believes him. Long keeps hyping up how their weak friend absolutely demolished Chen, but Shang Zuo, an E-ranked nucleus mage, just laughs it off. Shang Zuo asks why Chen is still running around doing basic exercises if he has actually become such a big deal. He points out that a truly powerful awakener wouldn't need to waste time on basic physical workouts anymore. Hearing this, their gamer roommate, Shang Yu, snarks that it sounds like Long must have taken a serious blow to the head. Shang Zuo reminds them that the four of them are dumped in this dorm because they are the bottom-tier losers, and nothing will change that. He boasts that he is the strongest out of their group, while Long and Shang Yu are just useless support chanters. Flexing his magic, Shang Zuo reassures himself that there is absolutely no way Chen could have secretly become a lightning assassin. Feeling incredibly confident, Shang Zuo hopes to somehow raise his rank during their final graduation exam happening first thing tomorrow. Over at an E-rank demon lair, the Student Council President, Gong Ting, wraps up his grueling training session and leaves with Ling Yu. Gong Ting notices his younger brother waiting outside and asks what he's doing, while Chung complains that as long as Chen is still around, he can't sleep peacefully. Chung keeps desperately begging Gong Ting to get revenge for him. Gong Ting calmly promises to clean up his mess. Later, sitting at the table, Ling Yu asks Gong Ting how he plans to handle the situation. Gong Ting only asks if this kid is actually as strong as Chung claims. Ling Yu points out there are fewer than 10 D-ranked students in the entire academy, and Gong Ting has already recruited every single one. She adds that other students don't even have access to private demon lairs like Gong Ting does, meaning no average student should be able to stand against him. Back outside, Chen keeps running like crazy while getting completely drenched in the rain. He sets a target to run 20 kilometers while hauling a heavy bag loaded with 100 kilograms. That is nearly twice his own weight. He knows basic training is pretty crucial for raising an awaker's limit, since a stronger body must handle higher powers. Running, he remembers his sister, the only family he had left. She was killed when the Demon King wrath descended on humanity, slaughtering countless people in an instant, and she died right there in front of his eyes. Ever since that tragic day, taking down this Demon King has been his ultimate goal in life. Chen knows the Demon Lord is already growing stronger, even with 3 years left before he arrives. To stand even a slight chance of winning, Chen needs to grow stronger way faster. But check this out right then. His sister soon calls, and hearing her voice after so long completely stuns him. She explains that she was pretty busy with a big competition and couldn't call sooner. If she wins a prize, their rent problem is fixed, and as she chats, Chen silently listens and smiles. He makes a silent promise to protect her at all costs and give her the beautiful life she deserves. Once the call ends, he gets back to work, crushing 3 more laps around campus before heading straight for a shower. He feels himself slowly adapting to this younger body and its pretty massive potential for growth. Sitting down, he starts thinking about those exclusive demon lairs that only rich people can access, knowing he must find a way to hunt monsters to grow. Weighing his limited options, He drifts off to sleep, only to get pulled straight into the Gluttony System, landing in a bizarre space that feels just like a crazy dream. Meanwhile, outside, Long is looking around for Chen, wondering where the guy suddenly vanished to. In this mysterious void, Chen spots a colossal tower rising ahead of him, but before he can inspect it, a pack of E-rank death hounds rushes out to greet him. Fearing that he has stumbled into an actual demon lair, Chen swiftly swaps his class. Monsters suddenly spawn out of nowhere. Choosing to clear them out first, he easily crushes the weak hounds before gathering up their loot. He hits level 2 instantly, and honestly, talk about stumbling into some serious luck. A massive boss monster spawns next, but Chen takes it down just as easily. Slicing straight through it triggers another level up, giving him way more experience points than those weak mob monsters from earlier did. Suddenly, the fallen boss is marked with a Devour prompt, leaving Chen pretty confused. Recalling the Gluttony skill from his system panel, he reaches out his hand to give it a try. The skill activates instantly, absorbing the beast into a card, and Chen is stunned to realize he can literally turn dead monsters into usable classes. He quickly realizes this is the exact same terrifying power the Demon Lord Lan Yu possessed. The realization that he shares a power with a literal Demon Lord leaves him pretty shaken. Normal people in this world only get one class or maybe two if they are super lucky, but Chen can now collect as many as he wants. He wonders how on earth he got this insane cheat code, and what this dark tower actually is. As he ponders, a heavy pressure fills the air, and a demonic figure wielding dual S-rank blades appears, radiating a sheer power that makes victory look completely impossible. Even though he is completely outclassed, Chen still summons a lightning sword, ready to gamble everything on this fight. Oddly, the terrifying demon standing there knows his exact name. They clash back and forth, but it is pretty obvious the monster is just playing with him. It intentionally avoids his vitals, repeatedly slamming him to the ground, and only speaks after pushing Chen to his absolute limit. The demon offers to spare him for guarding the tower, but Chen refuses, earning a brutal arm slash. Threatening to end him, it explains it only went easy because Chen is the sole human who reached here. It tells him to reconsider one last time, but Chen refuses to let his hope die. He says no again, ignoring the deadly threat, shouting as he charges forward to strike at the demon once more. Throughout the clash, Chen has been analyzing the demon's movements, spotting a 0.4-second delay before every single strike. He can exploit that tiny opening, watching the angle of the monster's wrist to pull off a flawless dodge. There is also a 0.2-second pause where the demon is totally defenseless. He plans to use that brief window to strike straight at its heart, but even if this risky move lands, a D rank like him cannot actually defeat an S rank. His actual goal is simply to paralyze the demon long enough to make a run for it. He follows the instructions and dashes toward the single light in the distance, hoping it is his exit. But the second he arrives, it completely vanishes. The demon mocks him that light was just an illusion, and there is absolutely no escape here. It explains that this palace is not actually a demon lair. However, it highly praises Chen for spotting the flaws in its attacks so quickly. The monster reveals its true identity as the Purgatory Rakshasa, declaring that Chen is genuinely the one who can bring real hope. When Chen gets a closer look at the demon's body, he is completely shocked. He realizes he has seen this exact look before on the Demon Lord Lan Yu, remembering their final battle from before he went back in time. His opponent in that battle was no ordinary monster, constantly transforming, first shifting into a massive dragon. Then it kept morphing into other terrifying, high-level beasts, wielding burning magma, toxic vines, and lightning even stronger than his. But out of all those forms, the one that truly caught his attention looked identical to the beast standing right in front of him. Suddenly, the truth hits him. Every single transformation was part of the Demon King Lan Yu's power. Since that energy is now inside him, this demon is just the raw power of gluttony absorbed into his own body. This clever deduction highly impresses the demon, and it calmly declares he is truly worthy of inheriting this entire dimension. Chen frowns, feeling pretty confused about what that even means. A golden void key suddenly materializes in its hand, which is the only way to enter or leave the massive tower standing behind them. The beast explains that Demon King Lan Yu devoured countless powerful monsters. Its holy duty was guarding the tower that imprisons the absolute strongest of those beasts. But now, it decides to hand the key over. Purgatory Rakshasa wants him to devour those demons, grow stronger, and inherit this mission. Confused, Chen asks why any demon would ever help a human. The creature replies that even within the brutal demon world, there are good guys and bad guys. One vicious monster slaughtered its entire clan just for cheap fun, and it has waited ever since for a chance to exact absolute revenge. Now, it believes it has found the perfect warrior to grant that wish, telling our boy that someone was completely right about him being their ultimate hope. Chen immediately demands to know who that is. The beast cryptically replies that all answers await inside the tower, sounding like an ancient sage. With its final breath, it offers every ounce of its remaining energy to him. In exchange, the demon tells him he must become the absolute strongest human walking the earth. Just imagine trying to hunt down every single beast in there. Each cunning creature is going to be a nightmare to overcome. The demon gives a final warning, stating that only someone with a desperate hunger for power deserves Purgatory Rakshasa's true strength. That burning drive is what he needs to wipe out every demon king in existence. The demon's body then turns into a blazing ball of energy for Chen to absorb. Chen instantly levels up 8 times and obtains both of Rakshasa's swords. Without a second thought, he accepts the mission, swearing to fulfill the fallen warrior's wish. Alongside massive stat boosts, he learns to control gravity and absorb power from dead humans and demons. The next morning, he blinks his eyes open, waking up in his dorm room like any ordinary day. He jumps up as a loud voice echoes through the room. His roommates are already packing up and yell at him to hurry if he wants to make it to class on time. Noticing his body feels entirely healed, he wonders if all those crazy experiences were just some weird dream. Wait, look at his screen. His updated stats prove everything he saw was completely real. After jumping straight from level 2 to level 10 overnight, he wonders what rank he is now. His roommate starts relentlessly mocking him, mentioning how some loudmouth was shamelessly bragging about how cool and insanely strong Chen supposedly became last night. Malong quietly peeks over from across the room, pretending he had absolutely nothing to do with those rumors. Either way, his roommate challenges him to prove his worth during the upcoming ranking test. This test will decide who is powerful enough to claim the legendary title of Dorm King. On their walk to school, the self-proclaimed Dorm King proudly explains that every rank is split into 3 separate tiers, so, even though they are all E ranks, he is a proud mid-tier, placing him safely above the bottom-feeding losers. He struts around acting superior because the gap between levels is apparently massive. Pumped up and way too confident, this guy proudly claims he must have jumped a level since their last test. Completely annoyed, Malong urges our boy to stop holding back and aim for at least a D rank during the test today. That way, the annoying Dorm King might finally shut his mouth. The boys arrive at school, where everyone is nervously gathering for the ranking ceremony. Suddenly, the local bullies stroll in like they own the place, insulting anyone making eye contact. Even the Dorm King's confident smile completely vanishes the second he lays eyes on them. Even the bullies completely lose their cool, bowing down to big brother Chen with absolute respect. His roommates are finally starting to realize that Malong's wild claims might actually be true. Chen ignores the punks. He minds his own business. But then, another student blocks his path. It is Jian, a student council enforcer acting like the school cop, offering Chen a deceptively polite warning. The president personally sent Jian to crush the fool who dared strike his younger brother. Instantly, Chen's friends scatter like rats. They are absolutely terrified of Jian, the enforcer who cleans up the president's messes. His roommates cannot comprehend why a powerful D-rank monster is targeting Chen like this. Invading Chen's space, the president's loyal dog boasts that his sharp nose can detect the exact strength of anyone he meets. Right now, all he smells on Chen is a weak, pretty pathetic loser. Amused by the insult, Chen fires right back, making Shane completely lose his temper the second he is called a dog. But before a massive brawl erupts, the pup's master steps in, ordering him to back down and avoid making a public scene. After looking into the mess, the president realized his little brother actually started the fight. The kid got beaten up simply because he picked a fight with someone way out of his league. With that, the president shoots him a gaze sharper than daggers. But Chen is not intimidated at all. Right then, a professor announces that the rank assessment ceremony is finally underway. Instructing everyone to step forward as names are called, the announcement prompts the president to tell his dog they are leaving. He figures this was a one-time thing, assuming Chen won't cause any more trouble now. Up above, a man curiously asks the vice president why she is personally attending the ranking ceremony today. Wondering if some rookie caught her attention, the lady just smiles, predicting this year will be pretty wild. Soon, Shanghai's name is officially announced, and the Dorm King feels pretty anxious stepping inside. And here is where things get spooky. The atmosphere completely shifts inside this creepy demon lair. Inside, a wired demon heart measures their rank and potential by devouring their raw energy. As the Awakener unleashes their full power, the signal shoots back to Earth, revealing their rank. Same as before. Sadly, the Dorm King's new rank didn't change at all, but the professor looks quite baffled when the potential score lags, and Malong keeps staring intently at the shifting numbers. After all that agonizing suspense, Shanghai's peak potential is only a C rank, leaving him totally depressed. He realizes his supposed progress was all a delusion, but his loyal roommates quickly step in to assure him they are in the exact same boat. After all, they are all stuck at E- rank with the absolute best potential of reaching C rank. Moments later, the president's lapdog struts out proudly. He is still a low D rank, but his max potential reaches all the way to A rank. Chen's roommates totally lose hope after seeing nearly 10 other students reach D rank. Even the professors are pretty shocked by how many students achieved D rank. since breaking past E- without combat experience is incredibly rare. Excited by the results, they summon the next student, the highly anticipated president carrying everyone's high expectations. Every single eye turns to Gong Ting, the genius who is already a guild master. As the president walks onto the stage, Chen remains completely calm, patiently waiting for his turn. Everyone at the academy knows that Gong Ting was merely a low D rank 2 years ago. With the school's record capping at mid D rank, everyone wonders if the president will raise the bar. Meanwhile, inside the dark demon lair, the heart's eyes slowly open to his powerful presence. Unleash everything, the president cannot use his entire power. Still, he deeply desires to graduate with an absolute bang, carving his name as the school's undisputed #1. Watch this when his potential grade glows gold. The professors blink in utter disbelief. Indeed, Gong Ting's high D rank blows everyone away and the crowd erupts into pure chaos as they witness the first S rank potential in school history. His loyal lackeys praise their awesome boss non-stop. Even Chen's roommates burn with envy, watching a new legend rise right before their eyes. The professors quickly agree that this incredible news must reach the high administration right away. They absolutely must protect their precious S-rank candidate, ensuring he never leaves the country, especially since he is the youngest student here to ever be involved with a real guild. Dominating the news, their academy's name is guaranteed to top the headlines. Watching from high above, Principal Yuan Long realizes that Vice President Ling Yu already knew about his massive potential. That is exactly why she came here in person to watch this. But things get pretty wild when she reveals he is not the only target of her attention. Besides the flashy president, there is another student she finds far more interesting. Right on cue, that exact student is the very next one called to the stage. Jean comes up with a bright idea and starts mocking this mysterious urban legend, warning him not to end up as E-rank trash like his roommates. He laughs that they will become a total laughingstock, adding that it is a complete disgrace for them to even show up here. Long backs up his buddy and boldly claims he's going to knock everyone's socks off. The crowd watches in absolute suspense as Chen enters the demon lair. Instantly, the demon heart senses an intense pressure approaching. Our hero remembers that the absolute best way to secure a future is by joining a top-tier guild. He knows it. The only way is by performing well during the upcoming graduation combat assessment. Out there, candidates must handpick members to form a 10-person squad. Take first place, and your squad gets recruited straight into the top-tier Imperial Guild. That makes the stakes crystal clear. Soon, Jean begins recruiting and brings another low-tier D rank to his boss. He boasts, their lineup is finally complete. Since they have all the D ranks plus the president's brother on their side, there is absolutely no way they can lose first place. Jean knows the elite will naturally group together, leaving only the weakest bottom feeders to team up. It is a brutal game of survival where the weak are simply cast aside and destroyed. Time ticks by, making Long feel pretty anxious since the screen is not changing. The crowd immediately whispers that Chen is too weak for the system to even register. Jian scoffingly tells Ting that the rest of these kids are trash, so they should just leave instead of wasting time. But right as they turn to walk away, the display suddenly flickers and flashes a high D rank, sending the crowd into complete chaos as shock spreads. Total shock. Even the president and the student council react in complete disbelief. Suddenly, the system picks up a strange shift. It turns out Chen is just testing how his level 10 base stats translate in his normal human form during this evaluation. Seeing that D rank, he switches his active class to the Infernal Death King, his weakest devoured power. Instantly, his rank jumps from high D to mid C, absolutely blowing everyone's minds. The student council struggles to believe the evaluation machine is even working right. Even the tech team starts panicking, wondering why the data keeps shifting. They quickly suspect the machine might be totally broken. But get this. Right then, the demon heart grows unstable and the results shift wildly again. Seeing the shift, Chen decides to switch to a far stronger class, instantly transforming himself into the Purgatory Ruasa. The demon heart trembles as a violent storm suddenly brews outside the lair. Jian screams in sheer confusion, treating the sudden storm like a sign that history is rewriting itself and their dorm has birthed a monster. In the next blink, his potential flickers all the way to S rank, leaving the tech team and President Ting totally stunned. But then, a red warning flashes. The user's potential completely exceeds the maximum limit and cannot be detected. His brain fries. Jean's head basically shuts down like a blue screen. Soul gone. It literally floats out of his body from pure shock. As the system begins to break apart under that overwhelming pressure, the scientists scramble forward in a panic to make sure the student is safe, but they freeze in absolute disbelief the moment they arrive. They find nothing but a shriveled raisin where the demon heart used to be, completely fried from extreme overuse. Scared to death, Chen might have terrified the poor thing a bit too much. Regardless, he ends up devouring it, gaining the skill to see anyone's rank and detect threats. He steps right out of the demon lair and gets a pretty sweet surprise when everyone's rank appears right before his eyes. But he quickly spots that the president hid his true potential, showing he is really just a mediocre C rank. The scientists awkwardly walk out, explaining the demon heart suffered a fatal heart attack from pure strain. So, testing must be paused. They label Chen's wild results as a glitch and announce that a full report will be sent directly to the higher-ups. Tomorrow, the remaining students must return for their evaluation once a brand new testing device is ready. Heading back home, Chen's roommates go wild, hyping him up like a total god after that crazy stunt. Meanwhile, Jian is practically choking on his own jealousy. He calls Chen a dirty fraud, demanding payback for the broken tester and wasting the student council's time. Talk about a sore loser. Just as Chen is about to lose his cool and delete him, Ting steps in to shut Jian down. The president commands him to show their new teammates some respect, leaving Jian completely speechless. Ting then reaches out, offering this newly discovered powerhouse an exclusive spot on his elite team. He guarantees that together they will shatter every school record in history. Hearing this, Jian completely panics in the back. Jian realizes making room for Chen means booting someone off, which is bound to cause major trouble with the brothers. Plus, riding with Ting's squad basically secures them first place. He just can't understand what makes Chen so special, especially since others couldn't even buy their way into this group. Forcing down his pride, Jian tries to welcome Chen, placing a very tense hand on his shoulder. Chen cold-bloodedly slaps his hand away, saying he has absolutely no interest in playing nice with them. That savage rejection leaves Jian sweating bullets, while Ting just watches the whole drama unfold in dead silence. Jian snaps, telling him he's completely out of his mind to turn down the school's absolute top-tier team, but Chen just turns around and walks away. He mutters that it's none of their business, calling their little club way too loud to deal with. Jian is absolutely livid after getting brushed off, and before long, the entire campus is buzzing about Chen's insane rejection. Everyone thinks he's planning to grab that first-place crown for himself now that his C rank is out. And honestly, who wouldn't want to grab a front-row seat to watch this glorious drama unfold? Chen's buddies are absolutely loving the totally embarrassed looks on Jian and Ting's faces after that public shutdown. The president stays cool, telling Jian not to sweat it. High above, the watching principal can only sigh in deep disappointment. He had high hopes they would band together, hoping this dream team would smash the school's all-time records. But Ling just grins, pointing out that things are way more entertaining like this. According to her, Ting was raised with a silver spoon, so he'll definitely take this diss as an open declaration of war. She warns the principal that once you won the president's pride, he isn't the type to let it slide. Jian keeps whining, claiming Chen's massive ego is just from a buggy C-rank test result, but Ting hints it might be the real deal. He admits that even if it's a long shot, he can't let anyone threaten his top spot. Jian then remembers Chen is probably just a regular student with zero combat experience, while on the flip side, the council members are true elites who secretly trained inside a deadly demon lair. He suggests they go teach Chen a lesson. Ting cuts him off, asking if he really thinks their president is that petty. Jian quickly realizes his mistake and backs down. He quickly cancels their plans for karaoke, telling Jian to handle the situation completely on his own. The president coldly adds that whatever Jian decides to do is none of his business. Chen immediately reads right through the lines. Shortly after, a spy approaches Jian, reporting that Chen has already left the campus grounds to head back home. He notes that Chen didn't even stop for food, which works out perfectly for them. Jian grins at his absolute luck. Just watch this, he is totally buzzing to ambush Chen outside school walls, where nobody can save him. While crossing the street, Chen remembers a tragic event from his past life, when a top guild raided a demon lair in Senghe. Deep in that lair, they unleashed a terrifying boss named Wrath, who wiped out the entire elite squad without breaking a sweat. That monster then escaped into civilization, unleashing absolute chaos and destruction everywhere. Though his memories of the event are hazy, Chen is determined to track down that specific demon lair in this timeline. To launch his master plan, Chen needs serious cash. He heads straight for the Mythil Monster Exchange Center. He remembers that this very exchange is destined to become the country's ultimate monster trading hub down the road. See, an Awakener's power completely depends on the quality of their gear and weapons, making this exchange center the prime spot to trade these goods. But for Chen, this place is just a fast cash grab before he sets his sights on far bigger targets. He steps inside and tosses a few monster fangs onto the counter. The broker examines them with a pretty suspicious look. The broker asks how some random student got their hands on these. Chen calmly shrugs, saying they dropped from a monster he crushed earlier. Feeling shocked, the broker admits he has never seen anything like them. Luckily, his assistant steps in, identifying them as fangs from an E-class monster called a Sanguine Beast. She explains these fangs are perfect for crafting E-grade weapons, or they can even be ground into powder for other recipes. This arrogant broker cuts her off and tosses the fang right back onto the table. He snaps that E-grade trash is totally worthless anyway, bragging that their shop is strictly for elite high rollers. They only cater to high-status awakeners with D-grade gear or better, using that as a cheap excuse for his own ignorance. Deep down, he just keeps whining about not landing any loaded customers lately. Helping some broke student won't get him a promotion, so he sees no point in wasting his breath. Calling Chen a complete pain, he dumps all the work onto his assistant, Lee, and struts off. Lee politely steps forward and hands Chen an envelope packed with cash, asking if he needs help with anything else. Peeking inside, Chen counts 18 grand, realizing this is more than enough to cover his rent without a single worry. But then, he pulls out that glowing greatsword from the purgatory demon, instantly freezing Lee right in her tracks. She has absolutely never seen a weapon like this before, but she guesses it must easily be B grade or maybe even A grade. The loud broker storms back over, mocking her guess and pointing out that real A-grade gear costs at least 1 million. Even after working here for years, he admits he has never seen an A-grade piece up close. Right on cue, the actual shop owner enters. Calmly, the owner says the weapon is neither A-grade nor B-grade, making the brown-nosing broker praise his boss's sharp eyes. He smugly agrees that a broke student could never carry something so legendary, but the owner explains this blade actually comes straight from the dangerous purgatory lands. Check this out, he reveals it is actually an S-grade weapon, leaving both the broker and assistant completely paralyzed in absolute shock. Without wasting a second, the owner eagerly shakes Chen's hand, welcoming him as an incredibly important VIP client. He guides Chen straight into the private VIP lounge, offering him absolutely anything he wants. Our main character is feeling pretty pleased. The guild owner, Qingji, has finally shown up exactly as Chen predicted. Once they get comfortable, the boss gets right to the point, asking how much he wants for the sword. Chen instantly demands $1 million, taking the green-haired boss completely by surprise. He explains that a treasure this rare could easily fetch tens of millions on the open market. But Chen clarifies that he only wants to use this sword as collateral to secure a simple $1 million loan for a single month. This makes the guild leader even more intrigued, realizing this kid is incredibly sharp and wondering who he really is. Chen adds that he will fully repay the principal within 30 days, then clear the interest the following month. Before giving an answer, the guild boss asks the assistant to step outside so they can talk privately. Once they are alone, he reveals that he knows Chen attends the National Awakener University where graduation is just around the corner. He also knows the final graduation test takes place in 30 days, and the grand prize is exactly $1 million. Looking him dead in the eye, the boss asks if he is truly that confident he will take first place. He easily deduces that Chen is completely desperate for cash, otherwise he would never gamble with an S-grade weapon like this. So, he makes a bold move, offering to hand Chen $1.5 million right now, completely interest-free. Extending his hand with a warm smile, he tells him that this is the beginning of a very beautiful partnership. Chen is completely stunned by such a generous deal, but Qingji promises him that not a single detail of their talk will ever leave this room. All he asks in exchange is that whenever Chen wants to buy or sell rare treasures, his guild gets the first look. Our hero quietly realizes how easily this man read him, yet he did not try to exploit or scam him once. Right here, we see exactly why this guild boss becomes such a legendary powerhouse in the future. Chen shakes his hand, knowing he desperately needs powerful allies to eventually take down the brutal demon lord. Just minutes later, the contract is officially locked in, and the cash is wired directly to his bank account. Qingji then kindly asks if Chen needs to borrow a backup weapon for his exam since he just handed over his best blade. They might not have S-grade gear, but they still have plenty of high-quality A-grade equipment he can use. Chen tells him not to sweat it. He simply summons his other massive greatsword right out of thin air, leaving everyone completely speechless. With his pockets full, Chen heads out. Immediately after he leaves, the boss promotes the pink-haired assistant to supervisor for bringing in such a high-tier client. Before heading out, Chen remembers he needs to pick up one more thing and walks back to the counter. A few hours later, he is waiting quietly at the bus stop. Memories of his past life flash by, of how brutally hard he struggled to climb the ranks while everyone else treated him like absolute trash. He used to grind endless shifts just to scrape by, forced to live in absolute poverty with his little sister just to survive another brutal month. His sister, Yuan, had actually gotten into her absolute dream university back then, but she gave it all up, claiming it was just too far from him. But in reality, she was simply terrified of putting a heavier financial burden on her hardworking brother. Shaking off the memories, he wonders why she has not arrived yet and begins scanning the busy crowd. Right then, a familiar voice calls out, teasing him for looking by the entrance instead of the exit. It is Yuan, dragging a massive suitcase behind her. She complains they are totally broke again because the rent completely wiped out their cash. But Chen just stands there frozen in shock because he has not seen her in 7 whole years. She breaks his daze, demanding he carry her heavy bags. Since he is completely unresponsive, she waves a hand in his face to snap him out of it. Suddenly, Chen lunges forward and wraps her in a tight hug, catching her off guard. Following a few tense moments, she jabs his ribs to break his grip, loudly complaining that he is literally suffocating her. She mentions he has been acting pretty weird lately and jokingly asks if his crush finally rejected him, though he quickly brushes the whole thing off. They keep walking together as she endlessly rants about her upcoming exams. And honestly, Chen loves every single second of it. He silently vows that he will never let anything harm her in this lifetime. Meanwhile, deep in a dark alley, a group of low-life thugs are lying in wait. Once they confirm Chen is heading their way, their ringleader, Jian, orders his crew to stay hidden until the kid appears so they can jump him all at once. Grinning like a lunatic, he tells himself that he will definitely make Chen pay dearly for what he did. A thug nervously asks if they will get in trouble if things escalate. The Cloud Assassin snaps back that he only wanted to rough the guy up, but their last meeting really pushed him over the edge. Remembering how badly Chen humiliated him, he orders his lackeys. Jean boasts about being the top Cloud Assassin in the business, practically drooling as he pictures the pure terror on his target's face. Walking beside him, Yoon notes that Chen has been acting pretty weird lately, asking if the pressure of the upcoming exams is getting to him. She laughs it off, teasing that a weakling like him shouldn't overthink. Then she reminds him of his own advice, just keep pushing forward and let fate decide. To cheer him up, she bursts into a happy song right as they enter an alley. Chen is actually pretty touched she picked up on his vibes so fast. Still, he knows she has no clue about his freshly awakened powers or his massive new bank account. When he insists he's totally fine, she just rolls her eyes, wondering if that's just his fragile male pride talking. Yoon just shakes her head, thinking that her brother is finally becoming a real man. But get a load of this creeping behind them. A goon tells Jian the target is with a girl, which gets Jian super hyped since this alley has 0 security cameras. But Chen instantly senses their killer intent. He turns back and recognizes them. It's the same trash from the student council. Pulling out his wireless earbuds, he gently pops them in her ears. He tells her to check out a cool track he's been obsessed with lately. This completely surprises Yoon since he never listens to music, but she goes with it anyway just to feel closer to him. Meanwhile, Chen spins around, staring absolute daggers at the approaching punks. While the sweet melody plays in Yun's ears, the thugs charge forward and the real beatdown begins. Instantly, Chen activates his lightning class. It took him 7 agonizing years to finally get his sister back, and he is not about to lose her again. Furious, he wonders where these pathetic fools got the nerve to lay a hand on them. He flashes forward like a literal bolt of lightning. His opening kick launches the first thug flying, making the rest of them instantly break into a cold sweat. Charging his fist with energy, Chen floors 3 of them in a row, finishing the 4th with a knee strike. One brave idiot actually tries to attack, but Chen catches his hand and snaps it like dry spaghetti. Before he can even finish screaming, a brutal punch slams straight into his nose. Watching his crew get effortlessly trashed, Jian completely freezes in terror, unable to comprehend how Chen got this insanely strong. But Chen isn't done yet, unleashing a relentless barrage of fists as he carves a direct path straight toward the Cloud Assassin. When Chen finally corners him, Jian desperately tries convincing himself he is the greatest assassin alive, shouting that there is no way he loses. Chen quickly drags him back to Earth with a brutal punch that sends him airborne. Following up instantly, he rushes ahead and unleashes a heavy combo, knocking quite a few of Jian's teeth loose. The Cloud Assassin tumbles pretty violently across the dirt before crashing hard into a wall. Look at this, he looks up to find Chen glaring down like a total demon. Standing over the broken Jian, Chen reminds the trash that he already warned him to stay away. Staring deep into his soul, Chen asks him, can a brainless piece of scum like you not even understand basic human speech? Beat to a pulp? The once cocky assassin can't feel his legs anymore. With half his bones completely shattered, he realizes he messed with the absolute wrong guy, barely managing to mumble out a pathetic apology, please. I am sorry. But Chen instantly shuts him up, grabbing Jian's collar. He presses a cold dagger right against his cheek. Looking directly into his eyes, this top assassin sees the terrifying reality. There is absolutely 0 hesitation to kill. This is definitely not the aura of a normal high school kid. Jane cannot help but wonder what kind of horrific hell could turn a guy into a total monster like Chen. Shivering with cold malice, Chen warns the trembling kid to remember his exact words if he wants to avoid another visit to this nightmare. He will absolutely tear them to pieces if they ever try anything stupid like this again. He issues a final warning with a chilling condition. If they ever step within a mile of his sister Uni, he will hunt down and wipe out every single person they love. With warnings delivered, he drops the dagger and casually strolls back to Uni before the music even finishes playing. Meanwhile, Uni is totally swept away by the music, crying over the incredibly painful and lonely lyrics. It breaks her heart. She weeps, wondering what her brother went through to change this much over the years. She wonders if her support was simply not enough. Wiping her eyes, she spins around, determined to give him a piece of her mind. But she freezes mid-sentence the instant she spots the gift in his hand. The shiny, gold-plated magic pen she has always dreamed of owning is sitting right before her eyes. Uni blushes bright red with massive excitement. She can barely believe her brother actually bought her the latest holographic magic pen, a luxury item that costs way more than their monthly rent. Her cute reaction immediately melts Chen's heart. Her face says it all. She does not want to return it, even if paying their overdue rent is the logical choice right now. Clenching his fist behind his back, Chen silently vows to protect Uni's smile and get her into her absolute dream school. Back at home, Uni happily spends hours tracing bright holographic doodles in the air. Watching her, her big brother quietly enjoys a bowl of homemade ramen, happy that she loves her brand new gift. But reality soon hits, and Uni worries about him spending so much money when next month's rent is still completely unpaid. In response, Chen smiles proudly and reveals that their rent for the entire year is already fully taken care of. He claims his secret business is making crazy money, but let's be honest, Uni is way too sharp to fall for that convenient excuse. She is definitely not buying this suspiciously convenient business story. Even so, she decides not to push him for the truth. To be honest, she cannot even remember the last time her brother smiled and laughed so freely. Patting him gently on the shoulder, she asks for one simple thing: whatever secret job he is doing, he cannot burn himself out. Meanwhile, over at a quiet aquarium, Student Council President Ting drops some shocking news on his cousin. The city's top doctors have declared that their elite assassin is basically crippled for life. Over half of his bones are totally shattered. Fighting Chen was one thing, but the absolute state of his broken body afterward is downright terrifying. His cousin reacts with complete indifference. Her only complaint is that they just lost another elite graduate student who was supposed to join their team. But Ting is equally ruthless, brushing it off because he operates better without some useless extra weighing him down anyway. Right on cue, their uncle, who also happens to be the Academy's Director of Employment, speaks up. Director Gong Xuan calmly steps forward with his official report on Chen's recent actions. His full investigation into the massive chaos at the ranking ceremony is done, and the findings are wild. Yes, you heard that right, Chen is ranked higher than the president himself. And honestly, it completely shatters his entire ego. The director then offers a serious piece of advice, revealing that Ting's father personally invited a vice chairman from the Alliance to grade his upcoming combat exam. Because of this, Ting absolutely has to outshine everyone else. But just in case things go sideways, the director has a backup plan. The green-haired girl, his uncle's favorite niece, will join his squad to guarantee they lock down first place. But the arrogant student council president flatly rejects the offer without even thinking about it. He arrogantly claims that he did not even use a fraction of his real strength during the placement match. Completely confident in his own raw power, President Ting guarantees he will conquer the entire academy all by himself. Back in his dorm room, Chen washes off after finishing a brutal daily 100-meter run with a heavily weighted pack. He is totally focused on one massive goal: securing that $1 million prize in the upcoming graduation exam. That cash is his golden ticket to sealing his deal with the Mythil Guild's Qingyi and unlocking an insanely profitable trade partnership. With just a few short weeks left until the big exam, he lies down in bed, not to rest, but to keep up his brutal grind even while sleeping. Pulling his mind right into his demonic lair, he sees Demon King Lu's massive void tower looming ahead. With zero hesitation, he marches straight up the towering staircase that leads right to the entrance. Before this, his first test with the Gravhound King class got him a pretty decent mid-C rank. But the crazy power of his Abyssal Fiend class, it completely broke the Academy's rating system. Even the Demon Heart itself could not measure how much crazy potential he actually had. So the only way to test his other classes is pretty clear. He has to unlock the Void Tower and let loose their raw power in real combat. Stepping inside, Chen wonders what kind of brutal, nightmarish challenge this crazy tower is about to throw his way. But the moment he sees what lies waiting inside, his eyes widen in total shock. Get this, he is suddenly dropped onto a massive white planet floating in deep space. The second he takes a single step, he drops to one knee, struggling to even hold his body up. On these fallen star wastes, the gravity is 10 times stronger than Earth, and Chen feels the crushing pressure deep in his bones. Behind him, the gateway disappears. He knows he has to take down the boss to get his exit back. He needs to adapt fast before anything attacks. But a phantom lion stalking nearby has no intention of giving him any time. Left with no choice, Chen instantly swaps over to his lightning class. The beast lunges, but he barely dodges and stabs it in the shoulder. It roars in anger, but the hit does barely any damage since he missed its vital spots. He quickly realizes his strikes are just as slow and sloppy as his sluggish movements under this intense gravity. The phantom lion easily pins him to the dirt and lunges to sink its teeth into him. It is wild how well these beasts have adapted to this gravity. He lets the lion bite his arm for a second, then quickly swaps to his Abyssal Fiend class. The sudden shift instantly grants him a whole new kind of stat boost. Giving up his speed, he gets a massive wave of strength and stamina, exactly what he needs for raw close combat. His class change slams the aggressive beast down, instantly turning the tide of the battle in his favor. Rakshasa's gravity control proves to be a lifesaver. On a planet with 10 times normal gravity, a 3 times multiplier hits like a truck. The lion roars in fury, but Chen shows absolutely no mercy, crushing the beast straight into the ground. Afterward, he collapses on the ground to catch his breath. That is when Gluttony alerts him with a well-earned level up. He finds out that every class has a star rating, with the star count showing how big of a stat boost he gets upon switching. Right now, his Purgatory Rakshasa has the highest star count of all his current options. But even with that edge, he still had to fight tooth and nail against a single B-rank Phantom Lion. He clearly has a long way to go before reaching his full triple S rank potential. On top of that, he is pretty annoyed that Gluttony won't even let him absorb the creature. This beast was definitely not the floor boss either, since the exit still hasn't opened up. Suddenly, a massive door swings open behind him, and dozens of glowing eyes stare out from the dark. Talk about a brutal reality check. All that effort to defeat one lion is nothing compared to what is headed his way next. Countless B-rank monsters flood out of the gateway, clawing and tearing at him from every single angle. Only now does he finally understand the warning Rakshasa gave him before. The demon warned him this tower is packed with ruthless beasts, meaning his path will be filled with endless suffering. But he also told him to endure it all to adapt and grow strong. Chen suddenly jolts awake in bed, feeling like he barely survived the most terrifying nightmare of his entire life. Everyone else in the dorm is still fast asleep, totally oblivious that he just suffered the agonizing pain of being torn apart by monsters. He finally realizes that the Purgatory Void Tower is definitely not some easy shortcut to leveling up instantly. He is only at the beginning of a long, painful grind. Fast forward a few weeks, and the Academy's graduation exam is finally here. A crowd of VIPs gathers to watch this promising new batch of Academy students. They announce new rules for team building, requiring every single group to include at least one high E-rank student. As they prepare to group up, it turns out everyone can see each other's ranks, making it easy to spot who's worth recruiting. The board ranks everyone from highest to lowest, but Malong quickly spots something that looks completely off. Chen is just as confused when he finds his own name sitting dead last at the very bottom of the list. Every eye in the room locks onto him, wondering how a supposedly elite high-grade awakener ended up in the absolute lowest spot. These jealous students immediately start talking trash, completely convinced his high rank was just some stupid mistake in the system. Still, they can't deny his strength. It's real, and having him on their team would easily carry their grades. Council President Ting keeps quiet. Meanwhile, everyone else whispers about the idiot who's probably regretting rejecting the president's offer. Now watch this. His own uncle, Gongguan, is the mastermind behind this whole trick. Chen has a bottom rank now. His uncle knew nobody would invite him, making the plan simple. If Chen can't even qualify for the test, he has zero chance of beating the president's elite squad. A few hours back, the whole class was begging President Ting for a spot. They tried sucking up to him, but Chung shut them down, saying they only had room for one more. Cut to now. Every other student has grouped up, leaving the absolute weakest dorm stranded in the dust. Long admits they asked around, but absolutely nobody wants to team up with them. And since they only have 4 members right now, they can't even enter the graduation test. He grumbles about how highly suspicious it is that Chen's rank suddenly tanked to the bottom, disqualifying their entire group. Since the rules require at least one high rank, it really looks like they were targeted. This graduation test is their only shot to show off and get scouted by elite guilds. For the final exam, the monster count scales with the size of your team, so more people doesn't mean an easy win. That's why nobody wants the weak kids, they are just dead weight. To make matters worse, the 3 lowest ranked students all share the same dorm, leaving them totally isolated. Right then, another guy calls out to Zuo, saying they only need one more member. This guy tries to manipulate him, claiming he surely doesn't want to fail the graduation test just to stay with his weak roommates. Chen realizes that if they don't find someone fast, they will all get locked out and won't even get to compete. But Zuo, their loyal dorm king, refuses. He declares he would never abandon his roommates. The other group storms off mad, but Zuo yells a warning they shouldn't go around underestimating people. Checking the roster, Long notes that almost everyone has a team now. They only need one more person, but absolutely nobody is willing to join their squad. Chen stares up at the director, suddenly realizing the old guy shares the exact same last name as the student council president. Seeing right through these dirty games, Chen wonders if Gongguan actually views him as some massive threat. Refusing to roll over, Chen vows to enter this tournament no matter what, suddenly unleashing his crackling lightning magic. Since these snobs are throwing their shades so openly, he tells himself there is absolutely no reason to hold back anymore. Unleashing his power, he steps forward. The school officials are completely stunned by his sudden energy. Even his own roommates are left scratching their heads. Meanwhile, Chen remembers a special competitive rule that all Awakener schools have. Students are allowed to challenge anyone, anytime. Sure, it looks like massive flexing, but it is the fastest way to prove your strength and demand some respect. Most kids would probably chicken out of a fight like this, but Chen knows the truth. The proud student council president won't back down. If he beats that blonde snob, everyone will beg to join his squad. But wait, look at this stunning girl who suddenly shows up, asking him for a spot. She mentions that she is also planning to participate in the graduation test this year. The vice president points out she actually hit D rank back in middle school, so she won't disappoint him. His roommates absolutely lose their minds. How did Chen manage to score such a stunning girl? Chang and Ting look utterly confused, while the director nearly chokes on his cup of water. The crowd starts whispering, wondering why on earth an exchange student wants to team up with the absolute worst-ranked group. Nobody knows her, but rumors say she's from the Saint Kingdom. Furious, the director snaps at her, stating that exchange students are strictly banned from participating in the graduation test. He barks that Ling never even took a single ranking test at this academy, meaning she has no verified rank, which breaks every school rule. But suddenly, the principal appears and agrees that the director is correct. Director Gong gasps, totally shocked to see the old man. The principal wonders why Ling even wants to take the exam when her stay here is so brief. Meanwhile, Chen is stunned, wondering how a warrior class like him just teleported. This old man explains that having her join would make things unfair for others, while she simply smiles along. Chen starts sweating buckets, realizing he can't even begin to sense the power levels of these two powerhouses. Finding his voice, the director eagerly backs the principal, agreeing that the academy simply cannot run without structure. But then, the principal softens his voice, reminding everyone that the school's real purpose is to nurture young awakeners so they can achieve greatness. Sure, the graduation exam is just an old-school tradition, but it is easily the single most crucial milestone of their lives. He speaks up, asking how the academy plans to compensate any student who loses their shot because of sudden rule shifts. Sweating bullets. The director panics, wondering if his corrupt scheme has finally been exposed. He begins to suspect the principal is changing the rules just to protect that kid Chen. Realizing this fight is pretty much a losing battle, he quickly decides to back down. He consoles himself since the elite students already teamed up, they will easily win the test anyway. Bowing deeply, the director apologizes directly to the principal and admits they completely overlooked how this system could block regular students from ever growing. So, to guarantee absolute fairness, he announces that even lower-ranked teams with less than 5 members are officially allowed to enter. The 4 roommates finally lock in their brand new squad and celebrate getting their big chance. Watching them from the back row, the principal casually tells Ling she seems a little too invested in Chen. Over on one side, the arrogant student council president proudly leads his team of elite students, and on the other side, Chen is leading the 3 weakest underdogs. It makes the principal pretty curious to see which cave they choose and how many points they can actually score. Soon, the official announces that all team captains are free to select their desired devil cave. Suddenly, his tablet dings, catching him completely off guard because a captain already locked in their choice. And wow, look what dungeon Chen actually selects. His roommates absolutely lose their minds, begging him to change it and asking if he has a death wish. But Chen just stays dead silent, keeping his eyes glued to the screen. Basically, the graduation test forces squads to enter a devil cave and earn points by taking down monsters. It is simple. Boss kills and speedrunning both award massive bonus points. Plus, the dungeon's overall difficulty level acts as a multiplier for their final score. An F-rank dungeon caps out at 75 points, while an E-rank offers a maximum of 100 points. The highest scoring team gets recruited by the prestigious Imperial Guild, and the top MVP walks away with 1 million WA right there in the selection room. Students whisper that the legendary record high is 90 points, set by the current commander of the Imperial Guild himself. Surviving an E-rank requires at least 3 tough D-rank fighters, but this year, Ting's stacked team might actually shatter the old record. The screen suddenly dings, letting everyone know that someone has already selected a Devil's Cave. A random kid shrieks when he sees Chen chose a D-rank dungeon. Nobody has ever cleared a D-rank, and everyone wonders if his finger just slipped. He is crazy. Long asks if he hit his head, while the Dorm King completely loses his sanity. The nerdy Long tries to talk some sense into him, but Chen reveals he actually thought pretty long and hard about this. The system dings again as Ting also selects the D-rank cave. Ting's elite squad members instantly approve, officially qualifying their team. The classroom erupts into pure chaos, though Ting's group tries to act cool. A blonde goth girl mocks Chen, laughing that he's just acting tough to get some cheap attention. A bald classmate chimes in there's no way his weak team agrees to this suicide mission. Their squad is dead on arrival. No joke. Long looks at Chen and realizes he is dead serious. He wonders when his quiet buddy got so incredibly bold. Shaking off his fear, the nerd slams the green confirm button, deciding to put his faith in Chen. Why not? Yo taps his green button next, figuring he has nothing to lose. The Dorm King gets super annoyed that everyone clicked before him, so he angrily mashes his button too. Finally, the system registers them and officially locks their team in. Turning to his crew, Chen apologizes and explains he chose this extreme difficulty to secure the #1 spot. He knows he's dragging them into his selfish dream, but he promises they will rise to the very top together. Ting snaps. He stands up and declares the top spot belongs to him alone. Chen slowly turns around, looking him dead in the eye, while Ting flares his heavy aura and snaps that there can only be one strongest student here. Watching from the shadows, Ling is pretty stunned, since she's never seen the composed Ting get this emotional before. The bitter rivalry is finally out in the open, and the principal feels kind of proud seeing them so fearless. Still, Ling is deeply worried about Chen choosing a D-rank cave, since even a seasoned C-rank fighter couldn't clear it alone. Sure, a D-rank cave offers a massive 150 points, but the sheer difficulty is absurd. To make matters worse, his deadweight teammates are utterly useless. The principal nods, noting that with barely a month left, it's virtually impossible for them to power up in time. Even so, he quietly hopes for a miracle. Fast forward 2 weeks to the training grounds, where the boys are collapsed, completely exhausted on the floor. Long questions why they are grinding out physical drills while everyone else is sitting in comfortable simulation pods. Chen pushes them through a series of utterly exhausting exercises, leaving the boys completely burned out. He shuts down their complaints, explaining that simulation training is totally useless. The first time you step inside a demon lair, your mind completely freezes. Instinct is the only thing keeping you alive. This brutal physical conditioning is designed to build their raw speed and sharpen their split-second reflexes. Sure, the ultimate training is running real dungeons, but normal students never get that chance. That privilege is reserved strictly for the academy elites. Even worse, those same elites actively block normal students from catching up, ensuring they always stay at the top. They hoard high-tier resources that regular people could grind their entire lives and never see. Annoyed, the dorm king speaks up what are regular guys like them even supposed to do, but Chen has a plan. He tells them if they secure a spot in the prestigious Imperial Guild, they can break the system. This graduation test is their only shot. Locked in on this goal, Chen promises to give everything he has to ensure their team claims a crushing victory. With only half a month left before the massive graduation exam, Chen grinds inside the Void Tower every single night. Defeating the Phantom Lions is incredibly tough, but he refuses to quit no matter how badly he gets thrashed. Just 5 days before the exam, his roommates push themselves to their utmost limits. But Chen? He is operating on a whole different plane. Seriously, his insane training routine makes their hardest workouts look like a gentle warm-up. 2 days out, and his fierce rival is not slacking off either. Yet somehow, Chen is rapidly outpacing him. He is now casually taking on a whole pack of lions under crushing, heavy gravity. Blood dripping down his face, he looks completely ready for war. Exam day finally arrives, and a guiding drone hovers above the crowd. The boys strut in wearing matching uniforms, looking incredibly sharp. The second, all the students strap on their special wristbands. The exam is officially underway. Outside the massive testing grounds, the academy principal warmly greets Gong Lin. This high-profile guest is actually President Ting's father, the legendary co-founder of the Imperial Guild. The awestruck students cannot take their eyes off him, staring like he is some legendary beast. Their excitement reaches a boiling point when the principal and the co-founder step up to welcome a luxurious white limousine. A powerful, red-haired man named Carl Candish calmly steps out from the back. The entire crowd loses their minds, immediately recognizing him as the vice chairman of the Elite World Guild Alliance. A VIP of his status would never normally grace a basic academy like this. Up in the monitoring room, the director explains that 23 teams are entering F-rank lairs. A few squads opted for E-rank zones, and only 2 daring teams selected D-rank lairs. The Alliance Secretary, Secret, looks incredibly shocked that these green rookies would make such a suicidal choice. Normally, even seasoned D-rank teams prepare extensively before entering a D-rank lair. She questions if the academy actually cares about the rookies' safety. Hearing this, the director calmly explains they knew exactly what they signed up for. He points out that newly awakened fighters with 0 combat experience routinely struggle against basic F-rank monsters. However, the true threat is always the lair boss, whose power completely eclipses the regular mobs. Most squads fail simply because they cannot secure the boss kill. But things scale up dramatically inside E-rank zones. In there, even the basic mobs are as strong as an F-rank boss. It is a brutal reality these young students usually have to learn the hard way. The secretary then asks what safety nets are in place. The director assures her that the school values the lives of its future stars. For their protection, an elite warrior from the Imperial Guild stands guard at every portal, ready to breach if things go south. On top of that, the smart wristbands will instantly teleport any student out if they surrender or face mortal peril. Even so, the secretary highly doubts any academy rookie has the skill to actually clear a deadly D-rank dungeon. She quietly wonders how many minutes those foolish teams will actually survive in there. The smug director, however, expects the E-rank kids to come crying out. Check out this frozen nightmare. His teammates are already totally paralyzed with fear. Honestly, anyone would freeze up seeing these horrific creatures, looking like some demonic fusion of bats and monkeys. Chen quickly barks out a warning to his team: these monsters dive bomb in a flash, so keep your eyes open. Suddenly, a swarm of the ghost monkey bats swoops straight down on them. Miraculously, the boys all manage to clumsily dodge the lightning-fast strikes, but while they are still celebrating dodging a high-rank monster's opening strike. But then, an even wilder sight catches their eye. Chen stands there completely calm, a lightning sword gripped tight, with slain monsters piled high at his feet. He calmly tells his crew to focus on getting out alive, since they are still pretty weak, leaving the combat to him. Suddenly, another vicious ghost monkey bat lunges straight at them with terrifying speed, but they somehow manage to dodge. Shangzhu finally realizes that Chen has been pushing them to sharpen their reflexes, hoping they can survive these lethal encounters. Zhu grits his teeth. He kept calling himself the Dorm King all semester, but now he is forced to rely on this quiet roommate of his. Look at this. Chen easily wipes out the remaining ghost monkeys, slicing them down in waves before they can even track his blade. The Dorm King mutters that he always heard rumors of Chen's crazy power from Ma Long, but seeing it live is a whole different story. To him, Chen does not look like some average college student, but a battle-hardened soldier. With every second, a tiny hint of jealousy creeps into his chest over Chen's exploding reputation. Suddenly, another beast ambushes them from behind, and Zhu barely manages to raise his guard and block. He grabs the monster's leg with blazing hands, yelling at his crew to stop acting like dead weight and wake up. After all, Chen's graduation is not the only one at stake here, leaving his teammates stunned by his sudden grit. Fired up by the Dorm King's stubborn words, Shangzhu casts his vine lock spell, binding the beast. But to his absolute shock, the creature snaps the vines and kicks Shangzhu flat onto the floor. Long casts Frostbite Breeze. It slows the beast slightly. Now, they must combine forces. Teaming up, they successfully pin the monster down, screaming for the Dorm King to deliver the final blow. Charging his flame bullet, he scores a direct hit. But wait, it does basically zero damage. Nothing but scorched hair remains. He fires volley after volley. Absolutely nothing can put this monster down. They are spent. Shangzhu and Long are done. The Dorm King realizes he must go all out. Gathering his remaining mana, he unleashes a massive fire blast directly at the beast, triggering a heavy explosion. As the smoke clears, only scorched bones remain. The drone confirms their D-class kill. The exhausted trio immediately collapses onto the cold ground, completely out of juice. They are absolutely thrilled that they somehow took down a D-class threat all by themselves. Chen walks up, looking slightly impressed, while they eagerly ask if he caught their epic victory. The beast drops a tiny finger bone, and Shangzhu tries playing it cool, claiming it was an easy fight while Chen warmly offers his congratulations. Moments later, the overhead drone announces that the entire Devil's Cave has been completely cleared of threats. Glued to the monitors, Director Gong nearly loses his mind. He cannot believe these rookie students actually wiped out a dangerous D-rank threat. The room of observers falls dead silent. Meanwhile, Vice Chairman Cavendish's assistant calmly offers praise for Chen's phenomenal performance. He thinks Chen's presence closely resembles an old friend. As the vice chairman commits Chen's name to memory, Gong Ting's father and the director immediately panic. Desperate to shift focus away from Chen, the director quickly redirects everyone's attention to the student council team clearing the other D-rank dungeon. He highlights how they have already pushed deep into the middle sector, prompting the chairman's aide to praise their highly professional raid team coordination. Chairman Carl smiles warmly, noting that this year's graduates are somehow far more impressive than previous classes. Director Gong mutters to himself that the true battle is only starting, with the best parts still ahead. Deep inside the Toxic Vine Cavern, Gong Ting's elite squad is suddenly ambushed by toxic mushroom monsters spawning from every single corner. One girl strums her guitar to cast a decay spell, while their star mage drags the mushrooms close with gravity pull for a devastating combo. He yells for his captain, and Gong Ting charges ahead with his glowing blade, eager to execute a stylish finish. With one lightning-fast strike, Gong Ting unleashes his Blazing Sky sword skill, completely obliterating the mushroom swarm. His teammates quickly realize these test monsters are identical to the targets they repeatedly faced during their intense training. Knowing exactly what is coming next, the squad breezes through the clash with zero pressure. They easily guess that the school leadership rigged the dungeon beforehand to favor them. Having powerful connections sure makes life simple. Overjoyed, they begin celebrating way too early, utterly convinced they will take first place this semester without breaking a sweat. Landing on the lowest level of the Misty Forest, the crew can't believe they actually survived long enough to reach the final boss. Right there, in the middle of a freezing tundra, a massive spectral ape sits calmly devouring its prey. Shangzhu starts sweating bullets instantly, his mind racing as he senses the beast's raw, overwhelming power. A single blow would drop him instantly. And just like that, the monster slowly turns its cold stare directly toward the weakest target among them. Malong lets out a terrified shriek, and that tiny slip-up is all the trigger the creature needs to strike. The giant ape launches itself forward in a terrifying leap, sending the terrified boys scrambling for their lives in every direction. But Chen, he charges straight ahead without flinching. He leaps directly into the beast's massive face with a brutal kick, following up with a barrage of lightning-fast punches that suspend its heavy body mid-air before tearing it completely to shreds. Pure shock. His friends just stare in absolute disbelief. Despite the easy win, Chen is pretty annoyed since these D-tier monsters barely yield any experience. Even the loot drops are totally underwhelming. Then, his teammates cry out in pure excitement after stumbling upon some massive mana crystals. It seems the spectral beast had been hoarding the glowing stones inside a hollowed-out tree trunk. Ecstatic over the hidden loot, they immediately reach in to grab the prize. Chen yells for them to freeze, but he is a split second too late, and a blinding light erupts from the wood, and then freeze. Everything is locked in solid ice within seconds. Shanggu, along with the hovering broadcast drones, are instantly frozen solid by the biting temperature. Look at this, up in the VIP room, the screen goes black, and that crooked director smirks like he expected it. He knew higher-tier beasts loved setting deadly traps, and it was only a matter of time before Chen's rookie squad walked straight into their doom. Candish scowls. He is deeply worried about the students. The director fakes some pity over Chen's apparent failure, claiming they must abort the test immediately. But the principal isn't buying it. He points out the students aren't in actual danger yet since their safety bracelets only trigger when health drops too low, and none of them have asked to forfeit. Only the students should have the ultimate say in when they throw in the towel, he believes. Freezing cold. Down in the dungeon, Malong shivers violently. Out of the entire team, he is the only survivor who escaped the freeze, thanks to his class having a high native resistance to frost magic. Malong hears a chilling laugh and sees a merciless ice skeleton. He recognizes the monster as the lair's master, straight from his studied compendium. It is a high-level cloud mage capable of controlling snow and ice to effortlessly balance both offense and defense. He also knows this horrifying creature the vicious Bone King loves torturing its prey slowly before finishing them off. A total trap. He spins and runs without looking back. Malong knows he stands zero chance against a C-tier Lord Boss by himself. He desperately scrambles to shatter the ice around Chen, but a freezing spike impales his leg first. The Bone King cackles at his pathetic struggle, while Malong's safety bracelet blares with a critical warning about his damaged leg. Although the system prompts him to forfeit the test, Malong absolutely refuses to throw in the towel. He crawls forward. Chen is still their only hope. Suddenly, a second razor-sharp icicle tears right through his arm, completely halting his desperate attempts to save his leader. The Bone King takes sadistic pleasure in his agony, as Malong's device issues yet another critical alert about heavy trauma. Sensing the pierced limb and a dangerously spiked heart rate, the system once again prompts him to withdraw from the trial. No surrender. Malong flashes back to his old life. He spent his whole life running away the second things got tough, always leaving him isolated and weak. All those memories of being ignored, bullied, and mocked come rushing back, but they have all sacrificed far too much to get here just to throw it all away now. Here's where he finally decides to break the cycle, summoning every last drop of strength. He pulls himself up and frees Chen. He stands defiant just as the Bone King fires a lethal volley of frozen spikes right at him. Just before the killing blow connects, Malong lets out a primal roar and Chen's eyes finally snap open. The ice block detonates into shards and Chen blurs forward, scooping up Malong and carrying him out of harm's way. This sudden high-speed rescue catches the Bone King off guard, and Malong realizes Chen actually shattered that thick ice entirely with his own power. Chen softly thanks Malong for risking his life, immediately checking over his severe wounds with deep concern. Malong gasps that the bleeding is under control, then warns Chen that they are up against a deadly C-tier Lord-class monster called the Bone King. Chen warns Malong. Combat here is pretty dangerous. If they want to survive, they absolutely cannot get frozen again. But as they look back, the Bone King is already charging up a giant cluster of sharp ice. Malong freezes in sheer shock. The monster is about to drop a massive ice nuke right on their heads. Boom! The frozen bomb explodes, burying the entire area in a blinding white fog. The beast starts to laugh, but stops dead in its tracks when it sees both boys standing there totally unharmed. That is because Chen just switched his class to Doomflame King, activating Frost Body for total immunity to cold damage. This swap also boosts his defense in sub-zero zones, turning the harsh frozen field into his personal playground. The frozen boss screams. Absolute horror. Even Malong is completely lost. His friend was supposed to be a vault assassin, not some crazy cloud warrior. He wonders if Chen is actually a rare prodigy who can awaken two separate classes. Chen just apologizes for messing up earlier, admitting his bad judgment dragged his friends into this dangerous mess. Then, he switches classes yet again, turning into a terrifying abyssal fiend. Grabbing his purgatory sword, he steps up to end this boss fight for good. And get this, Malong's jaw drops. completely to the floor. Most hunters are locked into a single class for their entire life, but there is this microscopic chance of awakening two classes at the same time. These dual-class elites are so incredibly rare that you could count them on one hand. Every powerhouse guild would kill to recruit one. But that is not even the part that makes Malong freeze. Watching closer, he freezes. Chen is actually using 3 entirely different combat classes. To make it crazier, every single one of those classes is top tier. In this abyssal fiend form, his stats start skyrocketing. His raw physical power launches him off the ground like a missile as he rockets straight toward the frozen boss. Smug grin, gone. The Bone King instantly feels Chen's terrifying aura. With one effortless swing, he cuts the boss in half like a hot knife through butter, hitting level 17 and securing some sweet rare loot. Staring at the pile of bones, Malong is completely stunned that his buddy just one-shot a rank C boss. Chen casually reminds him that their teammates are still stuck as human ice pops. Malong instantly panics. He completely forgot his team while watching his buddy go absolute god mode. He runs off to melt the ice before they freeze to death. With Malong gone, Chen gets a prompt to devour the fallen Frostlich King. With no audience around, he quickly devours the soul and unlocks the Cloud Mage class. Since the massive blizzard completely blinded every single camera drone in the area, his secret is perfectly safe from the outside world. But wait, the system drops another massive shocker on him. His Lightning Assassin class just leveled up, giving him a precious star point to pump into his attributes. Meanwhile, over in the Rank D dungeon, the student president's team is getting completely crushed. Their attacks do absolutely nothing. This Rank D boss is way too tough for these arrogant beginners to handle. The mage trying to restrain the beast is literally on the verge of passing out, and the lightning archer? His arrows are barely even tickling the monster's thick skin. This monster is basically tossing these kids around like cheap plastic toys. All this humiliation makes them wonder if their safe school simulations were a complete waste. They have never experienced real life and death combat before. Desperate, the mage screams that the president is their only hope of survival. Backline. Safe. The student president strikes a totally dramatic pose. He begins channeling his ultimate skill while soaking up massive buffs from his support team. With his blade fully charged, he lunges forward and drives his flaming sword straight through the monster's glowing core. Fire explodes out of the wound, completely melting the beast from the inside out. The squad goes absolutely wild, chanting his name like he is some legendary savior destined for greatness. An announcer drone nearby declares they cleared the Rank D zone in 30 minutes. Hyped up, the team is fully convinced they just secured the top spot. No chance. They truly believe nobody could ever touch their record. Strutting out of the dungeon, they expect to see their names shining brightly at the absolute top of the leaderboard. Walking down the hallways, they pass a crowd of broken students who gave up early, all of them looking utterly traumatized by the brutal monsters they had to face. That's when the president's little sidekick spots Chen's team chilling quietly off in the corner. One glance at Chen's exhausted team makes it clear they must have failed the moment they went inside. Gong Ting's lackey smugly walks over, mocking Chen for failing after acting so incredibly bold earlier. The loyal follower keeps talking, but Gong Ting quickly silences him as Carl Cavendish approaches. Clapping slowly, the elegant Carl Cavendish congratulates the students on their truly great performance. As he gets closer, Gong Ting keeps a calm face while his followers almost shake with excitement, standing right in front of one of the world's most powerful men. Gong Ting confidently reaches out for a handshake, but Carl Cavendish completely ignores him, walking straight past without even a single glance. Publicly humiliated, Gong Ting feels his pride completely shatter. To make matters worse, Carl Cavendish loudly calls Gong Ting's rival a true legend, gripping Chen's shoulder and announcing that Chen cleared a D-rank dungeon in just 20 minutes. Not even the top professional teams from his own elite guild have ever broken a record like that. Look at them. Gong Ting and his lackey are left completely speechless. They cannot figure out how 4 random nobodies beat their 10-man squad's time to clear a D-rank lair, while Chen does not even blink. Getting praise from one of the most powerful men alive simply means nothing to Chen. Still, Chen wonders why such an important figure personally came to this academy, but Carl Cavendish calmly says he will remember Chen's name. Then Carl Cavendish turns to Gong Lin, the man who invited him, casually mentioning that Gong Lin's son is also quite talented, offering a pretty weak compliment at best, leaving a bitter taste in the mouths of both Gong Lin and Gong Ting. His business is done. Carl Cavendish flatly announces that it is finally time for him to leave. Stepping in quickly, the academy director tries to smooth things over, announcing that both top teams have tied in score. Because of this, they will all receive an official invitation to join the prestigious Imperial Guild. That news sounds like sweet music to Chen's roommates, who are basically set for life thanks to him carrying their team. Gong Ting's lackeys celebrate too, but Gong Ting himself is far from happy with this mediocre result. Additionally, the academy director adds both captains will get management roles for their leadership, while the $1 million prize is split evenly. Hearing that, Both team leaders are visibly surprised, and Chen quietly worries that $500,000 is not enough to pay his debt. He has to find another way to earn the rest of that cash to keep his promise to the Miathil Exchange Guild. But wait, that worry might not even matter because Gong Ting openly refuses to accept any tie. He boldly declares that a sharp one-on-one duel must decide the true winner, as there can only be one champion. This sudden challenge is so shocking that it instantly catches the attention of the director and Carl Cavendish himself. Alarmed by his nephew's reckless move, the academy director urgently tries to talk Gong Ting into accepting the tie. He explains that a tie is easily the best possible result, especially after Gong Ting's earlier embarrassment. Expecting Chen to reject this pointless duel, the director is shocked when he immediately accepts on one condition: winner takes the entire 1 million. This unexpected twist is interesting enough to make Carl Cavendish pause and completely cancel his scheduled departure. With that settled, Chen steps forward to face Gong Ting directly. Time to settle the score. Sometime later, Qingji tells Chen he expected him to take first place, but a perfect score was beyond all expectations. Seeing Chen all over the news, Qingji feels his financial support was definitely a wise choice. Qingji offers to cancel Chen's 1.5 million debt, calling it an angel investment in his future. Unwilling to accept handouts, Chen firmly states that a debt is a debt and must be repaid in full, before announcing he came to discuss two things that catch Qingji's interest. First, Chen requests a 1-week extension on his final repayment deadline. Because the graduation test ended in a tie, his prize money fell short by 500,000. He reveals his plan to get the rest of those funds a one-on-one tiebreaker against the co-champion, Gong Ting. Their duel will happen next week inside a wild devil's cave outside the school, leaving Qingji totally shocked. Questioning why two students would enter a wild dungeon, Qingji warns Chen that it is far too dangerous without professional training. Completely unfazed, Chen tells Qingji not to worry. He will win that remaining $500,000. To make up for the extension, Chen promises to hand over all the valuable monster materials he gathers from the cave as interest. Seeing Chen's lack of fear and clear focus on his debt, Qingji sweats in disbelief. While Qingji admits to himself that this young man is truly special, Chen casually adds there is a second, much more important reason for his visit. With an incredibly serious face, Chen bluntly states his final piece of news, leaving Qingji completely shocked, his mouth dropping open in utter disbelief. Speechless, Qingdru stands up, staring at Chen in complete shock. Later that afternoon at Qingwei Middle School, Chen's younger sister, Yoon, celebrates finishing her final exams while her classmates groan over the brutal questions. Checking her phone, she happily realizes her summer vacation has finally started. But then she remembers today as a major milestone for her brother, his final graduation assessment. She gazes at her phone lock screen, showing a bright, happy selfie of her and Chen. 4 years ago, an excited Chen burst into the room with his admission letter from the National Awakener University, absolutely thrilled that he possessed elemental potential. A younger Yoon excitedly asked him if he was going to become a strong awakener, just like their parents. Filled with hope, Chen promised to join a top guild, make real money, and give her a better life. He also believed that getting strong would finally let him uncover the truth behind their parents disappearing. Yoon cheered him on, totally confident her brother would succeed. But in a more recent memory, a gloomy Chen sat alone at his desk. He kept worrying that he was already a senior and still had not awakened any powers. As Yoon quietly watched him, noticing her concern, he quickly tried to mask his pain. Forcing a smile, he insisted everything was fine and he just had to work harder. Think about how crushing that is. He worked harder than anyone, yet was the only student who never awakened. She realizes how incredibly lonely he must have been, watching his classmates succeed while hiding his own pain just to protect her. Suddenly, her classmate Jutong runs over to greet her, eagerly asking if Yoon has heard the absolute latest gossip. She reveals that the prestigious National Awakener University produced 2 mind-blowing genius graduates this term. Jutong explains that both star graduates led their teams to perfect scores and earned direct praise from the Guild Alliance vice chairman, putting their region on the map. Jutong remembers that Sion's brother goes to that school and asks about him. Yoon hesitates, feeling a heavy wave of sadness, but before she can speak, a pink-haired boy interrupts with a smooth, flirty greeting. The guy, school idol Jin Duxin, smugly tells Yoon he booked a private spot and asks if she is free to hang out tonight. Jutong is shocked, asking since when she knew the school idol, while Yoon just looks completely annoyed. Without saying a word to him, Yoon turns and runs down the hallway as fast as she can. A confused Jutong wonders why her friend is fleeing, while Jin Duxin watches her leave. Sprinting home, Yoon imagines her brother crying over his failure while his peers celebrate. Desperate to comfort him, she decides to cook a massive feast to cheer his spirits up. Later that night in their apartment, Yoon lays out a massive, mouth-watering feast with a hot pot and plenty of side dishes. Chen is absolutely stunned by the spread, asking his sister how on earth she cooked so much food so fast. While Chen happily digs in, Yoon watches him in quiet worry. Meanwhile, the TV screen plays a live broadcast reporting on the university's graduation test. Chen casually keeps enjoying his dinner while the news anchor details the special visit from Vice Chairman Carl. Watching him act so incredibly cheerful, Yoon assumes he is just faking a smile to mask his painful failure. The report then shifts to a rare dual champion event where two top students secured perfect, history-making scores. The anchor reveals that Vice Chairman Carl highly praised one of the perfect scoring team leaders, announcing his name as Chen. Hearing his name, Yoon stares at the screen in disbelief. Can you even imagine her shock? Her supposedly failed brother is actually the ultimate genius with a perfect score. Meanwhile, inside a dimly lit room, a blood-soaked whip lies on the floor as a cold, menacing voice states that the stage has been set. The speaker is Gong Lin, standing directly over his beaten son, Gong Ting. Clutching the whip, Gong Lin rages that he had invited an elite audience specifically to witness his victory, scolding the boy for completely ruining the performance he meticulously planned. Covered in brutal, bloody welts, Gong Ting pants heavily while his father furiously reminds him that he embarrassingly tied with some random nobody. He declares that Gong Ting is finished making his own choices, revealing that he has already taken control to rig the upcoming tiebreaker match. Gong Ting hangs his head in absolute defeat as his father coldly states that he is taking matters into his own hands. He vows to secure that top victory by any underhanded means necessary. He is completely obsessed with ensuring first place belongs solely to the Gong family. Meanwhile, hearing the news broadcast, Yoon whirls toward her brother, asking if that Chen is really him. Chen casually eats his food and confirms it is, leaving her absolutely floored. Yoon drops her spoon, clattering loudly against the floor as a sudden flash of lightning outside mirrors her intense shock. She just stares at him in utter disbelief, slowly realizing her own sibling pulled off a legendary feat during the graduation assessment. She is amazed that he did not just lead his team to a flawless, perfect score, but was also handpicked for praise by the vice chairman of the whole guild alliance. A stunned silence settles over their dinner table. Overcome with raw emotion, Yoon lowers her head to wipe away her tears, thinking of him as her silly brother. With tears of joy and pride, she smiles at Chen, knowing he finally made it to the top. Meanwhile, on June 17th, in 2157, Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish relaxes in a private room, eating premium beef. While enjoying his meal, he asks his quiet companion for an update on her current assignment. Sitting across the table, Ling Yu hands him a dark folder packed with top-secret files on the Devourer. She warns Carl that the target left 0 tracks this year, meaning their surveillance might get caught. Completely unbothered, Carl praises her efficiency and tells her to eat up. Ling Yu hesitates, mentioning she has one more crucial update. She recently spotted a highly suspicious figure who actually contacted Carl, which instantly grabs his full attention. She explains that this guy's crazy speed of power progression is totally unnatural. Meanwhile, inside the Devil Tower, a shirtless Chen crackles with raw golden electricity. He notes he has spent over 2 weeks grinding on this first floor, wiping out almost every beast. He is fully adapted to the floor's 10 times gravity, as his system shows his level 17 Lightning Assassin stats. Following that graduation battle, his Lightning Assassin class hit 100% proficiency, earning him an attribute point. This proves that actively using a class directly boosts its proficiency level. Surrounded by the glowing projections of his 4 unique classes, Chen realizes none have hit their limits yet. He dumps his new point into Speed, an assassin's life force, boosting it to a massive 740, matching an A-rank killer. But even with this insane speed, he is locked in a brutal standoff against a pack of purple phantom lionesses. The real headache is the floor's lord, a giant phantom lion king that he simply cannot touch. As 2 beasts lunge at him, Chen triggers his divine flash skill, morphing into golden lightning to clash. But the Lion King is strange whenever an opening appears. The beast vanishes before he can land a hit. He quickly analyzes their combat patterns. They shift coordinates fast, keeping 2 attackers up front while the other 2 wait in reserve, all while the Lion King plays it safe from afar. Chen narrows his eyes, annoyed that the boss refuses a direct face-off. Glaring at the massive monster, Chen wonders what kind of combat class this slippery boss is hiding. As a phantom lioness charges him, Chen counters, shoving a heavy bolt of lightning straight down its throat. But right before the kill shot lands, the beast vanishes in a pink flash, leaving him totally empty-handed. This annoying teleport skill is not just for the boss, either. The regular lionesses also warp away when they are on the brink of death, safely popping back out right beside their king. It is a perfect defensive loop. The instant he pauses, another one leaps in to bait his focus. Determined to break this annoying rhythm, Chen unleashes a blinding, golden lightning storm of relentless slashes. But the slippery beasts just keep teleporting away before impact. They hold their tight formation, falling back to the boss whenever he corners them, while forcing him to block their glowing claws. Every single blow Chen lands hits nothing but thin air as they warp away unhurt. They flawlessly tag-team him through the portals, keeping a fresh beast constantly on his throat. Chen keeps hacking at the lunging monsters, but the endless loop continues as they vanish right at contact. This endless wave of hit-and-run attacks is slowly draining Chen's stamina. Sweating under the heavy pressure, Chen glares at the smug Lion King, realizing the bastard is dragging this out to toy with him. Vaulting into the air to dodge an incoming claw, he laughs at his own stubbornness while fight teleporting hacks with raw speed. Time to switch tactics. Chen opens his system menu and triggers a class change, instantly covered in freezing blue energy. And, just like that, everything changes. As frost coats his skin, he realizes a close combat class is useless if the boss runs. His hair turns stark white as his eyes ignite with icy blue light. He will use magic to freeze their slippery tracks. The system confirms his shift to the level 17 Cloud Mage Frostbone Skeleton King. Standing tall with an icy crown, Chen prepares to rain down wide-scale spells to control this entire chamber. Rocking his level 17 Cloud Mage class, the legendary Frostbone Skeleton King, Chen floats high above the frozen field and unleashes his massive Frost Spike spell. A relentless barrage of sharp ice spikes rains down, triggering heavy explosions that force the phantom lionesses to scatter. Watching the chaos from high above, Chen notes that despite their weak, close combat, mages completely dominate the battlefield with long-range strikes. He immediately targets the Lion King, raining down a concentrated torrent of frozen spikes. Right before the spikes hit, the beast activates its spatial ability and vanishes, stepping out of a portal far away to easily dodge. But as the boss tries to regroup, but get this, a massive vortex of frozen energy suddenly traps the pack. Chen knows forcing them here completely ruins their hit-and-run tactics. Danger strikes from above. The terrified Lion King looks up to see Chen forming a colossal frost blast bomb overhead. Chen coldly declares there is nowhere left to hide, leaving the panicked boss to let out a desperate roar. Chen hurls the massive frost bomb down, detonating it on impact to flood the battlefield with blinding white light and freezing energy. The light fades. The devastating power of his spell is clear. The entire pack is frozen solid inside jagged pillars of ice. With his prey completely trapped, Chen pulls a rapid class switch. In a flash, a glowing pink sword materializes in his hand. Eyes glowing blue, he confidently declares that the battle on this first floor is finally over. Using his Stellar Warrior class, Chen leaps high toward the frozen targets and unleashes a devastating downward strike called Triple Cataclysm. The glowing energy blade easily slices through them all, shattering their icy prisons in one clean sweep. The beasts dissolve into dark mist, leaving Chen victorious beside the fallen boss. The system confirms his victory. His alias, Ash C, levels up to 24, rewarding him with several phantom bones and a rare heart. A glowing prompt appears over the fallen Lion King. He is ready to be devoured. Chen stands over the defeated boss, gathering a bright, swirling light in his hand to start the absorption process. His eyes flash red as he focuses his energy, eager to uncover the incredibly evasive class the boss used during battle. Activating his absorber ability, Chen pulls a swirling vortex of dark red energy from the fallen beast into his fist. A brand new system card forms in his palm, revealing the Lion King's Stellar Tamer class. The card details its annoying abilities, forcing contracts on beasts and instantly teleporting them across the battlefield. Examining the Stellar Tamer card, Chen notes he has never seen such a class, explaining why the boss avoided direct combat. He realizes the boss monster's base stats were simply too weak, forcing it to hide behind those teleporting minions. Checking the skills, Chen admits that the Stellar Warp teleportation ability is honestly incredibly strong. He also finds the Stellar Pack-acted ability pretty interesting. Although it relies heavily on terrifying the target into submission, he quickly realizes that to recruit a beast of his own, he must take an incredibly aggressive and terrifying approach. Suddenly, the starry void around him shatters into a blinding white light, catching him off guard. Look at how fast the environment shifts. The illusion shatters entirely, revealing the first floor's true face, a scorching desert filled with endless sand dunes. Staring at the barren wasteland and massive skeletons buried in the sand, Chen wonders what catastrophe caused this. Suddenly, a crackling sound echoes nearby. A vertical rift expands into a roaring, fiery portal, signaling that the path to the second floor is officially open. Right as he gets ready to move, a hostile glare and a low growl from the shadows make him spin around. He quickly traces those glowing pink eyes straight to a massive rib cage buried in the sand. Hiding inside is an adorable lion cub, growling fiercely despite being bound by glowing chains. Chen is genuinely shocked that it survived. The final enemy remaining? He forms a crackling lightning dagger to finish the job. But as he draws close, he notices a crucial detail. Since this cub did not vanish when the Lion King died, it is clearly not one of the boss contracted minions. Looking closely at the chains squeezing the little creature, Chen wonders if the boss had kept this cub imprisoned here. Staring down at the helpless cub, Chen unleashes a terrifying, icy glare, utterly terrifying the poor beast. But instead of attacking, Chen swings his dagger to shatter the heavy magical chains. Freed from its heavy chains, the little lion cub falls gently onto the sand. Chen calmly turns away, letting the cub have its freedom. As he prepares to leave, he asks if this ruined wasteland was once its home. The little lion cub shakes off the sand as it watches him. Looking at the creature, Chen knows the raw pain of watching your loved ones die and your home get totally destroyed. The little cub just stares as Chen admits he knows that exact grief all too well. Walking to the portal, Chen tells the cub to stay alive and keep pushing forward because it is time to climb higher. But right then, check this out, a glowing system interface pops up offering a sudden contract. Since the cub wanted this, success is 100%. The contract unlocks passive skills to share experience and see through the eyes of the beast in times of danger. Chen stops in his tracks, completely shocked by the sudden request. This fluffy cub sits quietly on the sand. It looks up at him as the system names the creature Lion King Leo, asking if Chen accepts this legendary beast pact. Chen looks down at the tiny Lion King Leo, asking if it really wants to follow him. The cub answers with a resolute roar. Standing right before the flaming portal, Chen explains his plan to climb the dread spire. He warns the little cub that the monsters ahead will get brutally strong, meaning they both might die. Leo roars back with absolute determination. Seeing his fiery resolve, Chen accepts, and their eyes glow with a matching magic crest. The system confirms that the Beast Pact is now officially active. His interface displays the Stellar Tamer class along with the Stellar Pact skill. This power forces contracts on enemies, though the beast dies if the master falls. Right after, those two passives kick in. One passive shares experience points to boost stats, while the other grants him the vision of his companion in times of danger. Finally, Stellar Warp unlocks, allowing him to instantly teleport to his companion. With their pact sealed, Chen smiles and says it is time to move. The energetic cub bounces right beside him. Moving toward the swirling flames, Chen gives Leo one strict rule. In a fight, his only job is to survive. With that, Chen steps straight through the flames. They walk out onto a jagged cliff, overlooking a massive volcanic underworld filled with flowing lava and blazing firestorms. Sweating through his clothes, Chen mutters about the insane heat, feeling like he might melt right on the spot. As they look around, Leo peers over a bubbling lava pit. Chen admits he has no clue what is here, when a sudden splash startles the cub. You can feel the sheer terror here. A blinding light explodes as his eyes flash red, sensing a massive threat. Before he can even brace himself, a lightning-fast strike blasts a hole clean through his chest. Chen bolts upright in his real-world bed, gasping for air while clutching his pounding chest. He was dead in a split second before even seeing his attacker, completely stunned by that nightmare-level power. Still shaking from the phantom pain of dying, he wonders what kind of absolute monster is guarding that second floor. The dread washes away when his sweet sister, Si-yoon, calls out from the hallway that breakfast is ready. At the table, Chen stares at a massive spread of hot ramen and fresh fruit, telling Si-yoon she cooked way too much. Chewing on some toast, Si-yoon tells him to wash up the dishes and do not forget to hang the laundry. Watching her slide into her sneakers, Chen asks where on earth she's rushing off to during summer break. She says she got a part-time gig, but a worried Chen reminds her that he has got their money covered now. Si-yoon smiles, explaining that with his recent success, she refuses to just get left behind. Besides, doing nothing all summer sounds totally boring, so she playfully reminds him about his chores and heads out. Doing exactly what his sister ordered, Chen washes the dishes and hangs up the damp clothes in the living room. After finishing up, he realizes his sister has always been this independent. Staring at their framed photo, he deeply admires her unshakable spirit. Honestly, even though she is still just a kid, he often feels like she is the one taking care of him, but his mind soon drifts to the dark future. Once his school life is sorted out, he has to face the Demon King Wrath. That looming battle will keep him away from Si-yoon for a really long time. Thinking of her sweet smile, she is the one person he can never stop protecting. Suddenly, a brilliant idea hits him. Pressing his fingers to his temple, he wonders if this crazy experiment actually works. His eyes flash pink as he channels his power. A magic portal opens up, and little Leo comes tumbling out onto the floor. Chen just stares in absolute disbelief. He is completely stunned that he can summon his contracted beast right out of the tower and into the real world. The playful little cub instantly makes himself at home, tearing around the room and shredding tissues. Staring at his screen, Chen forms a new plan. Chen could easily command Leo to protect Si-yoon during his absence. With his passive skills, if Si-yoon was ever in danger, he would share the beast's vision and teleport to her. Knowing she adored animals, he recalled her happily petting stray ones. Watching his beast, Chen smiled, pretty confident that giving her this little lion cub was a great idea. A loud crash. It cuts his thoughts short. Startled, he went to check, hoping Sa-yoon would really like her new pet, but his confidence instantly evaporated when he saw the kitchen. Pure chaos. The cub shatters plates and gnaws on the faucet. Meanwhile, out in the city at sunset, a sudden wave of dark energy blows apart a street security camera. Right beneath the utility pole, a heavily bleeding man clutches an ice blade, backing away in pure terror. He desperately begs his unseen attacker as a giant demonic claw suddenly materializes in front of him. The claw lunges. It brutally drives straight through his chest. His eyes pop in pure horror as glowing red tendrils lift him high into the air. A creepy system interface pops up, showing a loading bar that coldly reveals the man is literally being devoured. Elsewhere, a totally exhausted Si-yoon walks home, carrying bags from her summer job. She lets out a sigh, her aching feet ruined by the bubble tea summer rush. Her usual path leads her into a dark underpass. But here's the crazy part: she walks directly beneath that ruined security camera. As her footsteps echo through the silence, a sudden presence makes her freeze. She turns in shock as a cold voice from the dark announces she is finally here, waiting in the shadows. Jin Duxian stands there holding a massive bouquet of red roses, clearly waiting for her. He steps directly in front of her to offer them. He complains she ran off too fast to hear his invitation, proudly adding that he booked the entire top floor of Purple Peak Tower for tonight. Glancing at the roses, Si-yoon asks how he knows her address. Jin Duxian proudly brags about his father being the city hospital director, making such details easy to dig up. Totally unimpressed, Si-yoon coldly replies they live in completely different worlds. She warns him never to find her again and turns to leave, but an annoyed Jin Duxian grabs her arm to hold her back. He snaps about how hard it was to book the top floor, angrily demanding if she really intends to stand him up and embarrass him in front of his friends. Si-yoon glares back, telling him she does not care about his reputation. Then she fully calls him out, straight up calling him creepy for stalking her all the way to her house. Hearing the word creepy makes Jin Duxian lose his mind. With a sinister expression, he threatens her, warning that she has no idea who she is talking to or what he is capable of. Before he can finish, she strikes first. Si-yoon quickly counters and slams a massive headbutt right into his face. The impact sends him flying to the ground, screaming in pain while clutching his bleeding nose. Standing over him, an incredibly angry Si-yoon yells at him to go get his head checked at his father's hospital. Fuming, she storms off. Stay far away. His pathetic stunt ruined her entire day. Later that evening, a warm light glows from her family apartment window, standing in stark contrast to the dark, creepy alleyway below. When she gets home, Si-yoon is completely amazed to receive the fluffy white lion cub, Leo. Her eyes sparkle with instant adoration. She snuggles the tiny beast, completely in love, and excitedly asks her brother, Chen, where on earth he found such a cute creature. Chen introduces the cub as Leo, explaining it is a special gift. Overjoyed, she is absolutely amazed that she actually gets to keep a real baby lion. But as Leo purrs in her arms, Si-yoon notices a weird detail. She wonders why this tiny cub already has such a big mane, since normally only fully grown male lions have them. She quickly shrugs off the mystery, declaring she will get him registered first thing in the morning. Watching them bond, Chen feels quite relieved, knowing his sister will be safe with this beast by her side while he is gone. Suddenly, a loud chime from Chen's phone interrupts his thoughts, making him look down at the bright screen. A satisfied smile appears as he reads an email from the Guild Supervision Bureau. It confirms his application is officially approved. Relieved, Chen thinks everything can now go exactly as planned. Everything is secure. The paperwork is done. Chen looks totally confident. He is finally ready for his next major challenge, the graduation tiebreaker duel against Gong Ting in 6 days. 6 days later, the big tiebreaker exam kicks off at the city outskirts in Greenlight Forest. Director Gong Xuanshan tells both students to listen closely as he explains the exam details. Standing right before a glowing green portal at the base of a massive tree, Gong Xuanshan announces the school chose this wild dungeon for the tiebreaker, adding that recent official surveys rate it as a D rank. He confirms that both Chen and Gong Ting will enter at the exact same time and take the exam inside the same dungeon. He warns them that unmapped wild dungeons are far more dangerous than standard school ones. To keep things safe, 3 high-ranking guild members from Esternia will step in as the examiners. They are heading straight into the dungeon with the students to ensure safety and rate their performance. The lineup features Ivan from the Imperial Guild, Yasmin Kai from the Divine Eye Guild, and Sato Woda representing the Silver Guild. Gong Shan makes it clear their final marks rest entirely on what these 3 examiners witness. Meanwhile, the exam streams live to a dimly lit VIP room back at the academy. Staring at the screen, Gong Lin smirks. He quietly hopes the 3 examiners execute their shady deal perfectly, leaving behind a clean job with 0 loose ends. Inside the room, Principal Yuan Long asks Vice Chairman Carl Cavendish why he is still sticking around when his official schedule ended 2 days ago. Carl laughs while watching Chen and Gong Ting on the broadcast. He points out that nothing beats this kind of action, admitting he has not seen two absolute prodigies clash in years and refuses to miss it. Gesturing toward the glowing green portal, Gong Shan boisterously announces the official start of the ultimate graduation tiebreaker exam. Fueled by pure determination, the highly anticipated match between Chen and Gong Ting begins as they step right into the glowing gate. Chen emerges on the other side, still draped in the fading green energy of the gate. Taking in his new surroundings, he finds himself standing in a gloomy, shadow-drenched wasteland littered with dead trees. Near the entrance, the examiners study the eerie environment, with Yasmin Kai noting it looks like a botanical-type dungeon. Right beside her, Ivan offers a cigarette to Sato Woda, who quickly shushes him, reminding him they are on duty with active camera drones. Suddenly, an intense, high-pitched ringing noise goes off inside Chen's head. Look closely, his eyes widen as a flashing crimson hologram projects from his chest, bathing his face in a red glow. A massive system alert flashes in his face, warning that an incredibly lethal threat is close by. Shocked, Chen realizes this is the first time his demon heart has ever sounded an alarm this severe. Just as quickly, the system alert completely disappears. This leaves Chen wondering if a high-tier beast is actually hiding inside a simple D-rank dungeon. Undeterred, he and Gong Ting push forward. Gong Ting confidently takes charge. He guides them through the thick mist while Chen tails closely behind. Watching from above, Yasmin Kai notes how suffocating the fog is. Standing beside her, Sato Woda commands the examiner team to stay fully alert and keep their eyes glued to the two candidates. A sharp crack shatters the quiet as the rocky ground ruptures violently right in front of the students. A hideous, towering insect-like beast erupts from the dirt. The system flags it as a poison cage ant, a D-rank botanical archer. Moving instantly, Gong Ting draws his blade and charges the monster head-on. Observing this quick maneuver, Ivan praises the kid's incredible reaction time. But Sato Woda warns that real dungeon monsters are faster, meaner, and far more ruthless than any training dummy back at school. The savage beast strikes first, shooting a highly toxic volley of glowing green projectiles. But Gong Ting swiftly deflects every single toxic shot with his blade, airborne in a flash. Gong Ting cleanly slices the massive insect right in half, sending its severed upper body crashing heavily to the dirt. Gong Ting's sword ignites with a blinding golden aura as he drives it straight into the downed beast. Activating his specialized nuclear warrior class, Gong Ting unleashes a devastating blaze blade barrage that blows the monster to pieces in a massive explosion. Watching from up on the ridge, Yasmin Kai beams a glowing green 10 from her wrist interface. She gives Gong Ting a perfect 10 for combat initiative, praising his quick reflex and seamless handling of the monster's ranged assault. Ivan also flashes a 10, highly praising Gong Ting's tactical genius. He points out that slicing off the poison organ right away completely neutralized the target's ability to fight back. Sato Woda proudly flashes his own 10, giving top marks for raw finishing power and that incredibly clean, decisive execution. As Gong Ting stands calmly holding his brilliant, glowing sword, the examiners are totally blown away by his perfect positioning, battlefield control, and execution. Keeping this cool against a wild beast is unheard of for a student. Sato Woda then directs their attention over to Chen. He's just strolling around with his hands shoved in his pockets. Sato Woda heavily rips into him, calling this relaxed attitude a total failure. Gong Ting stays quiet, just staring intensely at his rival's incredibly relaxed and completely unbothered attitude. Back in the VIP room, Carl Cavendish and Principal Yuan Long watch Chen very closely. Principal Yuan Long grins, instantly figuring out that Chen is hunting for something very specific. Deep inside the dungeon, Chen stops, casually tapping his foot against a tangled mass of massive tree roots. He quickly figures out this sweet spot lets him obliterate the entire horde with just one single blow. Golden lightning crackles to life in his palm, shaping itself into a brilliant, jagged dagger. Declaring his search is finally over, Chen brutally drives that sparkling lightning blade straight into the roots. Boom! The strike sends massive golden lightning deep underground, tearing the earth apart. A hidden nest of poison cage ants flies upward, getting totally fried and vaporized in the electrical blast. The exam proctor's sweat bullets. Chen blew up that monster nest on purpose. They seriously question his sanity, terrified that dragging out a massive D-rank horde will get them all slaughtered. Watching the massive explosion, Gong Ting loses his cool completely, staring in shock at whatever Chen does next. Gathering massive momentum, Chen electrifies his boots and rockets straight up. Unleashing his rare lightning assassin class, he triggers his flash god skill, shooting skyward like a brilliant golden meteor. Watch this. Chen intercepts that launch swarm of poison cage ants at absolutely impossible speeds. He lets loose a wild, lightning-fast storm of slashes on the flying beasts. Zipping between targets, he weaves a beautiful, zigzagging web of golden lightning, completely shredding the entire horde in seconds before floating gracefully back down. Chen lands gracefully. Chopped-up monster parts rain from above while lightning fades from his hands. High on the ridge, the three examiners are completely frozen in shock. Sweating bullets, Sato W can barely even process what he just saw. While Chen casually brushes green blood off his jacket, the proctors check his file in horror. He is registered as a mere E rank. It makes absolutely zero sense for a bottom-tier E-rank kid to casually annihilate a massive swarm of D-rank monsters, knowing they cannot possibly explain why such a flawless run deserves a terrible grade. The dirty examiners whisper frantically. They are completely desperate to keep their corrupt deal and sabotage Chen. They try plotting some unfair excuse, like calling his fight style too reckless or docking points for bad technique. Over in the VIP room, Carl bursts out laughing. He praises Principal Yuan Long for predicting Chen was holding back. Carl points out how wild it is to see such insane action so early in the exam. Carl cannot wait to see how Gong Ting reacts to this. Standing right behind them, Gong Lin keeps quiet, his face turning incredibly dark as he glares at the screens, and then heavy digital static completely tears apart the live video feed. The screen glitches out before turning completely pitch black, replaced by a flashing red alert saying the signal is lost. Principal Yuan Long frowns, staring at the dark screen, wondering aloud why the feed is cutting out on them again. Just outside the gate, loud warning sirens start blaring from the system monitoring gear. A technician types like crazy on his keyboard while the system reports a major, highly unusual signal anomaly. The main monitor shows the dungeon's simple D-rank rating glitching out and turning into a creepy question mark. At the same time, internal communication signals drop to absolute zero. The worker stares at the broken data in shock. Director Gong Xuan breaks into a sweat, demanding to know what disaster is happening inside. And here is the kicker: the portal's green energy completely dies out. The magic gate disappears completely, leaving a plain, dark cave entrance that locks the students deep inside. Deep inside that cut-off dungeon, a dark, creepy tune starts echoing through the dark, literally forming floating, glowing notes of pink and green light. He freezes, listening closely. He instantly knows the terrifying monster hiding inside this eerie melody. It is the voice of the Demon King, Wrath. Outside the cave at 4 p.m., the entrance suddenly seals up, turning into solid stone. Director Gong Xuan loses his mind, demanding to know how the entrance vanished. A technician yells that the connection is totally dead, saying the system threw major signal errors right before it went dark. Sweating heavily, he barks orders at his crew to get headquarters on the phone right now. He is terrified that a massive disaster has just struck inside the locked-off zone. Si Chen and Gong Ting pause as floating musical notes materialize right before them. This is no ordinary dungeon floor. They are looking at an eerie melody taking physical form. Even the seasoned examiners are baffled, totally baffled by this atmospheric shift. Yasmin Kai asks if anyone else can hear it, and Sato confirms it sounds like some bizarre music. Feeling the heavy, rhythmic thuds of the melody, Si Chen grows deeply alarmed. He instantly recognizes the sound as the voice of the Demon King, Wrath. He frantically wonders why Wrath is even here in this low-level dungeon. The Demon King is not supposed to show up for another 3 years. Suddenly, Si Chen's demon heart system bombards him with flashing, high-danger warning alerts. He freezes. The system interface is screaming about a lethal, imminent threat. As heavy thuds shake the damp cave floor, Si Chen realizes that something massive is standing right behind him in the mist. A sinister laugh echoes through the cavern as a towering, shadowy figure slowly approaches through the thick fog. Visibly shaken by this overwhelming presence, Sato wonders what kind of beast is hiding in the mist, just as two glowing eyes pierce the gloom. The creature finally steps forward, revealing a grotesque humanoid mantis monster radiating pure, dark energy. Glaring down at the group, it mockingly welcomes the humans and declares they have walked straight into a trap. The monster is actually talking. Sato realizes a talking monster has to be at least a high-tier C-rank beast. He frantically wonders how such a terrifying creature can possibly exist inside a mere D-rank dungeon. Fear grips him. This thing could slaughter every single student. Sato summons a massive glowing axe and leaps forward to intercept the beast, shouting for everyone to get behind him for safety. But wait, before Sato can even strike, the mantis demon counters with terrifying, blinding speed. In one brutal motion, its razor-sharp side-like claw cleanly severs Sato's entire arm. As the other examiners freeze in horror, the mantis demon instantly vanishes and reappears right behind Gong Ting, raising its blood-dripping claw. It mocks them, sneering at them to curl up and accept their miserable fate. With a sickening thud, the monster ruthlessly drives its blade straight through Gong Ting's shoulder and out his chest, telling the young man to die. Despite being brutally impaled, Gong Ting grits his teeth through the agonizing pain. Instead of falling, a fierce, crazed grin spreads across his face. Close range, the perfect opportunity. Talk about a badass comeback. Gong Ting swings his flaming golden sword, cleanly chopping off the beast's trapped arm. The monster is left totally stunned. Gongting follows up with a powerful mid-air kick, launching the crippled beast backward across the rocky ground. Bleeding heavily from the gaping hole in his shoulder, Gongting ignores his injuries and glares back with glowing, intense eyes. He declares that since the Overlord drew first blood, the kill belongs to him under combat priority rules. He fiercely warns Chen not to dare interfere in this fight. Chen watches the monster intently, his eyes glowing green as he uses his unique system to assess its true strength. His interface updates the Mantis Demon's classification, confirming that they are dealing with a highly dangerous, high-tier C-rank beast. Seeing the massive hole in Gongting's shoulder, Yasmin Kai urgently yells at him to get immediate medical help. She begs him to suspend the exam and pull back, warning him that this creature is completely out of his league. Gongting flatly refuses, gathering intense fire magic inside his hand. He completely rejects the idea of giving up. Chen watches in shock as Gongting presses his burning palm directly onto his open chest, using raw fire to agonizingly cauterize the massive bleeding wound. Pushing through the agonizing pain, Gongting fiercely declares that this battle will not end until one of them dies. Zero hesitation. Gongting leaps high into the air, bringing his blazing sword crashing down onto the crippled Mantis Demon to keep up his assault. Meanwhile, outside the sealed entrance, Silas Lin, the leader of the Imperial Guild's elite squad, assesses the vanished portal. He calmly explains that this phenomenon indicates a highly intelligent, cunning monster is operating inside, one that purposefully lured the humans inside before snapping its deadly trap shut. Director Gong Zhen panics, desperately asking if there is any way to force the entrance open while the students are still trapped. Silas Lin coldly states there is only one way. Someone trapped inside must find and completely destroy the dungeon's massive overlord. Desperately searching for a silver lining, Director Gong Zhen tries to rationalize their dire situation. He suggests that since a standard D-rank dungeon only caps out at a C-rank boss, the trapped survivors should still have a decent fighting chance to kill it. Silas Lin brutally shatters his hope. He reveals the truth: the initial D-rank reading was just a fake mask, a trap designed to hide the dungeon's deadly nature. Connecting the clues, Silas realizes this exact dungeon is the culprit behind the recent string of disappearing awakeners. He gravely tells a terrified Gongwan that this is actually an extremely dangerous B-rank dungeon. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, the monstrous insect attacks relentlessly. But Gongting stands his ground, parrying the heavy blows with his flaming katana. He quickly retreats to dodge a sweeping strike. As the beast raises its arm for a devastating blow, Gongting vaults high. The creature misses, its blade getting stuck deep in the ground. Seizing his chance, Gongting declares the monster is trapped. With one swift swing of his glowing sword, he cleanly severs the creature's head. The decapitated head tumbles across the rocks. As the rest of the group gathers, Yasmin watches the entire scene in stunned disbelief. She is amazed he defeated the Overlord alone, admitting his strength is genuinely pretty formidable. Nearby, Ivan heals Sato's injured arm, asking him if he is actually recovering yet. Sweating, Sato thanks him, but his relief completely vanishes when he checks his smartwatch. He alerts the others in a panic. His device has lost its signal, leaving them completely isolated. Yasmin and Ivan immediately check their own gear. Yasmin confirms her connection is totally gone, while Ivan grimly notes that every single signal is dead. Sato panics, demanding to know when the drones went offline. Gongting looks back in confusion, but check this out. The headless monster suddenly stands right back up. Without warning, the headless creature lunges straight at a completely shocked Gongting. Chen instantly steps in, unleashing golden lightning strikes that slice the beast to pieces. The system confirms the kill, awarding him experience. Still reeling, Gongting demands to know how it kept moving without a head. Chen calmly explains that this mantis was never the true overlord. It was under hypnosis the whole time, allowing its body to fight even after death. He urgently orders the examiners and Gongting to get out immediately, before they become the next target. Defensive, Gongting asks how Chen could possibly know that. Sato angrily accuses Chen of losing his mind, insisting there can only be one C-rank overlord in this dungeon. He argues that the high-tier monster they just fought has to be the boss. Before Chen can argue any further, his system floods his vision with critical warnings. Suddenly, a massive, pulsing wave of psychic energy sweeps through the entire cavern. And just like that, they are gone. Caught in the blast, Yasmin, Ivan, and Sato's eyes glow with a sinister pink light as hypnosis takes them over. Realizing his warning has come too late, Chen quickly activates a wireless earbud, immediately recognizing the distinct, pulsing sound wave. In his past life, he saw the Demon King Wrath use this exact frequency to easily hypnotize and slaughter millions of ordinary humans. He turns to see Yasmin, Ivan, and Sato perfectly synchronized, marching forward in a mindless trance. Convinced the dungeon's true overlord is directly connected to Wrath, Chen coldly resolves to face the creature head-on as he follows them deeper into the dark cavern. Chen's system continuously bombards him with alerts about highly dangerous creatures up ahead. The group soon arrives at a massive, eerie lair filled with glowing green egg sacs, where towering dark serpents guard a central, cloth-draped figure. Chen remains completely unaffected thanks to the counter-frequency audio playing in his earbud, a protective measure he prepared specifically for Wrath. However, knowing the unprotected examiners could drop dead from the mental strain at any second, he decides to kill the Overlord immediately. The sinister entity senses their arrival, its voice echoing through the cavern as it hungers for their fresh flesh. Chen glares back coldly, ready to fight. In a flashback to years ago, an exhausted, bloody young Gong Ting stands over his brother, Gong Chang, after brutally beating him with a broken stick. Watching the violent scene, their father, Gong Lin, coldly congratulates 8-year-old Gong Ting on his victory. Sitting comfortably at a fancy dining table, Gong Lin explains the family's harsh rules: the winner eats, while the loser, young Gong Chang, must kneel outside until sunrise. Left outside, a bruised and beaten Gong Chang kneels obediently as his stomach growls, but Gong Ting secretly approaches his defeated brother and offers him some bread. Terrified and shocked, Gong Chang whispers that their father will severely punish him if they are caught. Ignoring the massive danger, Gong Ting tells his brother to shut up and eat, but his kind act is quickly discovered by their father. A brutal slap across the face sends Gong Ting to the floor, forcing him to his knees, trembling as his father holds a whip over him. Standing over his beaten son, Gong Lin asks if he knows why their family holds so much power today. He proudly declares it is because he has never lost a fight. Drilling his brutal mindset into his son, he says winners make the rules and losers follow. Defiant despite the abuse, young Gong Ting asks his father if beating him means he gets to make the rules. The old man just laughs. But look at Gong Ting, years later, totally beaten and collapsing onto his hands and knees. He coughs up blood as his shattered sword clatters down, angrily asking his father why he refused a fair, one-on-one duel. Demanding answers, he asks why his father ordered Silas Lin to attack him instead. Unbothered, Gong Lin smirks, explaining his power is not in his hands. Looking down at his defeated son, he tells him that this world does not run on fair rules. Instead, it runs on one simple truth: you must win no matter what, telling Gong Ting that the method never matters as long as you get results. As a member of the elite Gong family, he is expected to always be number one, even if it means throwing away his family, his loyalty, and his dreams. Gong Lin coldly finishes his lecture, stating that winning is the only reason Gong Ting is allowed to live, words echoing back to his childhood, permanently scarring him with the belief that his survival depends entirely on always coming out on top. Back in the present, the team stands in front of the massive, hidden dungeon boss, the Overlord. A nest of giant snakes and glowing green egg sacs surrounds it. Chen remains completely unaffected by the creature's mind control magic, having prepared a special audio track in his earbud for a moment just like this. Knowing the hypnotized examiners have no protection and could die from the mental strain, he decides to slaughter the beast right now. But before he can strike, Gong Ting suddenly grabs his wrist, desperately whispering for him to stop. Watch this to break free from the mind control. Gong Ting roughly digs his fingers directly into his own chest wound, spilling fresh blood onto the floor. Gasping from the agony, he admits he has no idea how Chen resisted the trance, explaining that the pain is his only way of staying sane. He urgently warns Chen that a reckless move will give away their position and get them all killed. Sweating heavily, he points out the countless glowing eggs around the throne. If they trigger the nest, they will be instantly swarmed by dozens of S-rank monsters, making their survival absolutely impossible. Looking at the trap, he realizes the clever Overlord disguised its home as a weak dungeon just to lure in unsuspecting awakeners. Because of this trick, the monster will eventually come to them. Play along and stay completely still, he suggests, because the second the Overlord gets close enough, they can launch a devastating surprise attack together. Chen looks pretty impressed, admitting he did not expect Gong Ting to think so clearly under pressure. Despite the compliment, Chen completely rejects his plan. He warns Gong Ting that waiting is useless, because this monster does not even need to move to kill them. The Overlord does not need physical attacks with just one thought. It can force anyone under its spell to end their own lives. And right on cue, the hypnotized examiners prepare to kill themselves. Sato pulls a saw, Yasmin aims her gun, and Ivan starts choking himself. Moving like lightning, Chen strikes all three, knocking them safely unconscious before they can do any real damage. The sudden action catches the Overlord's attention. Realizing its prey is fighting back, the monster angrily declares its meal is ruined. Instantly, the Overlord triggers the glowing green sacs, causing them to burst open. Dozens of lethal, S-rank blade-armored mantises swarm out, ordered by the Overlord to slaughter the intruders. As the deadly horde surrounds them, Gong Ting realizes their stealth is ruined and defaults to a backup plan. Drawing his blade, he steps firmly in front of the unconscious examiners. He orders Chen to grab the three adults and escape the dungeon, promising to hold off the monster swarm alone. Chen is stunned by Gong Ting's selfless choice to sacrifice himself. Gong Ting admits he knows he can't beat this entire swarm of C-rank monsters alone, but he firmly insists that he can at least buy Chen enough time to escape. Clashing his flaming sword against a charging mantis, Gong Ting yells that he is taking full responsibility. He blames himself for demanding the tiebreaker duel and dragging everyone into this deadly trap. The sheer force of the monster strike overpowers Gong Ting, easily slamming him backward. He stabs his sword into the dirt just to stop his slide. Battered and panting, Gong Ting insists this is his mess to clean up. But Chen steps forward, admitting he totally misjudged his rival. As his system initiates a class switch, he reminds Gong Ting that he also agreed to the duel. Fully transforming into a level 24 lightning assassin, Chen summons a crackling golden blade. Surrounded by terrifying mantises, Chen channels his golden lightning and casually tells him that he has got a plan. Bleeding heavily, Gong Ting instantly rejects the crazy idea. He warns Chen that the Overlord's power is on a whole other level, guessing it is at least a B or a rank threat. He yells at Chen to grab the unconscious examiners and run, insisting that escaping is their only real option. Chen agrees the beast is a nightmare, but points out they cannot leave since the gate is locked down. If the exit was open, the Imperial Guild rescue teams would have already rushed in to save them. Gong Ting freezes in sheer shock, realizing they are trapped inside. Chen closely watches the Silent Overlord, analyzing how to survive this deadly mess. If it is truly an A-rank beast, its power must match the Lion King from the Dread Spire. Suddenly, the swarm attacks. A mantis demon lunges forward, but Chen easily blocks its heavy scythe with his lightning dagger. Another mantis dives from above, making Gong Ting panic and scream for Chen to watch out. Before the monster strikes, Chen and Gong Ting swing their glowing blades together, slicing two demons down in a flash. A second later, a massive swarm of screeching mantises charges straight at them. Holding his bleeding chest, Gong Ting grits his teeth, knowing it is only a matter of time before this wave completely overwhelms them. Ignoring the impossible odds, Chen focuses. Tapping into his lightning assassin class, he summons crackling blades of pure electricity in his hand. With a swift motion, he fires a wave of golden lightning blades, piercing right through the charging beasts. Not stopping there, he triggers his Flash God skill and blitzes straight into the middle of the swarm. Gong Ting watches this insane power in utter disbelief, and honestly, you and I would too. He knows assassins usually have terrible base strength, making them completely useless against massive groups of enemies. Yet he watches as Chen flawlessly dodges a massive scythe swing. Gong Ting then notices that every single one of Chen's strikes hits a weak point. He realizes Chen is completely making up for his low raw power with extreme speed and perfect technique. Staring at the blurry after images, Gong Ting is awestruck by just how fast Chen is moving. Slicing down the swarm in a storm of lightning slashes, Gong Ting realizes his rival's speed is easily a rank level or higher. Inspired by Chen's skills, Gong Ting grips his blade with fresh energy, realizing they might actually survive. Annoyed by their stubbornness, the Overlord steps in. It charges up a massive wave of dark pink energy, triggering a powerful buff. The dark energy washes over the remaining mantis demons, heavily boosting their raw power and speed. The Overlord angrily orders the supercharged swarm to shred Chen to pieces right now. A buff mantis lunges to crush him, but Chen easily leaps over and shreds the beast in midair. Seeing the fight get wilder, a fierce Gong Ting yells for him to hold on, raising his own blade. Chen pushes himself to the absolute limit, unleashing a relentless storm of golden slashes against the supercharged horde. Suddenly, a mantis demon appears right behind him, moving with crazy, blinding speed. Chen completely vanishes just in time to dodge that lethal strike. He reappears and instantly fights back with a rapid storm of close-range slashes, but his attacks cannot cut through the monster's tough new armor. The angry mantis immediately retaliates with a heavy blow. Chen blocks the incoming strike, but the massive impact pushes him far back with incredible force. Panting heavily, he realizes the Overlord's dark buff has pushed every single stat of these monsters right into B- rank. He notes that their shells are now as tough as solid iron, making it impossible to easily pierce their weak spots. So he figures they need a way to completely break that hard armor first. Behind him, Gong Ting shouts his thanks, knowing Chen has bought him the exact time he needs. Sacrificing his speed, stamina, and elemental control without hesitation, he pours all remaining power into raw strength. Flames explode around his sword in a massive, towering pillar. Meanwhile, later that evening in the rental apartment, Jutong arrives with bags of groceries, apologizing for taking so long to buy the drinks. Siyun, with little Leo resting on her shoulder, tells Jutong not to worry since her brother is not back yet anyway. Hearing this, Jutong is surprised that he is still out. She asks if Chiyun's brother knows she passed the Art Academy exam. Chiyun replies she has not told him yet, though she did hint she had huge news to share. Figuring he is simply running late, she suggests they start without him. Right then, Siyun holds up an empty jar, realizing they have completely run out of garlic sauce. She tells Yutong to wait at the apartment while she and Leo make a quick run to the store, adding that she will grab snacks to celebrate properly. Shortly after, Siyun finishes her shopping at a local convenience store and heads back outside into the night. As they walk, Leo happily eats some treats while hiding inside her backpack. Siyun smiles, calling him a little angel for being incredibly quiet the entire time. She warmly praises the cub for being such a good boy, promising to buy him delicious cookies next time. Unbeknownst to Siyun, she's being watched from a dark, nearby alley. A man standing with his hooded partner holds a picture of her, reporting over his radio that they have found their target. He then asks if they should initiate the attack. A voice over the radio tells him to wait, instructing them to follow her until she is out of range of the street cameras. The stalker confirms the order and keeps watching. As Siyun walks home, the sound of heavy footsteps follows closely behind. The stalkers match her pace, slowly starting to close the distance. Knowing that these men have been tailing her since she left the convenience store, Siyun wonders what exactly they want from her. Hidden safely inside her backpack, Leo lets out a low, warning growl. Siyun gently holds him, asking if he senses the danger, too. She whispers for Leo to stay hidden deep inside. Turning to face her stalkers, you can see she isn't running. Her expression is fierce and incredibly sharp. Deep inside the dark dungeon, panting heavily, Chen realizes that the monster boss's foul, dark energy has pushed the bug swarm to a much higher threat level. Seeing that their outer shells are as tough as solid iron, he knows he can no longer easily cut through them. He knows they must find a way to break that armor first. Just then, Gongting shouts his thanks, telling Chen that he bought him exactly enough time. Sacrificing his speed and energy, Gongting channels all remaining power into raw strength, bursting forward as a massive pillar of flames erupts. With his strength pushed to its absolute limit and his eyes glowing, a furious Gongting announces his final move. Swinging his fiery sword, he unleashes a massive, roaring wave of fire, declaring he will burn the beasts to ashes, no matter how strong they are. The massive fiery wave crashes into the charging swarm, violently burning the bug monsters. Tearing right through the enemy lines, the giant blade of fire strikes directly at the calm, waiting overlord. The strike explodes violently upon impact, trapping the monster in a massive, blinding blast of fire. Barely able to keep standing, Gongting collapses to his knees, leaning heavily on his sword, realizing his physical stamina and magical energy are completely exhausted. Wiping the sweat from his face, an incredibly exhausted Gongting breathes a deep sigh of relief. As the flames clear to reveal the charred remains of the insect swarm, he gasps that the fight is finally over. However, a chilling, evil laugh echoes from inside the fading fire as the boss mocks them, asking if that was really all they could do. Gongting freezes in pure shock, but check out Chen, he is just calmly looking toward that voice. The smoke clears to reveal the boss completely unharmed, protected behind a massive, glowing green barrier. The creature glares down at them, calling their ultimate attack deeply disappointing. Pure, unmitigated fear washes over Gongting's face. He completely loses hope, realizing he just unleashed every last drop of his strength and still failed to leave a single scratch on the creature. Staying perfectly quiet, Chen observes the enemy's defense closely. He realizes that right before the fiery attack landed, the boss quickly drained life from the remaining monster eggs to create a barrier strong enough to block anything. Barely able to keep standing, an utterly defeated Gongting breathes heavily. Gongting loses all hope, staring up and wondering if they are really going to die. Stepping right past the defeated Gongting, Chen offers him a quick deal. As he begins switching his combat class, he promises Gongting first place in the exam. In exchange, Chen demands the entire cash prize, adding one very strict rule. Not a single word can be spoken about what he is about to witness. Summoning his glowing sword, Chen fully transforms into his secret demonic class. Gongting stares in absolute disbelief, utterly shocked to see that his rival wields two completely different classes. Look at that, streams of glowing pink energy violently pull themselves straight out of the dead bugs. He activates a special skill, draining the remaining energy from the nearby corpses and turning it directly into his own strength. A towering pillar of pink energy erupts around Chen as his power levels rapidly climb to insane heights. Shielding his face from the violent wind, Gongting watches this unbelievable display of raw power in utter shock. Even the boss halts, silently staring down the boy while exhaling a cold cloud of energy through its sharp teeth. Chen feels his physical limits shattering. Shrouded in dark demonic energy, he confidently steps up and repeats his earlier claim. He'll kill it himself. The Overlord acts, casting its soul rest enigma. Massive waves of energy erupt from the monster's glowing green shield, instantly choking the entire cave with psychic pressure. The intense mental attack slams straight into Gongting. Bleeding and exhausted, he grips his head in pure agony while fighting the hypnosis. Chen, he doesn't even flinch. The giant overlord freezes as Chen calmly walks forward, his massive sword resting on his shoulder. Totally confused, the beast demands to know why its hypnosis has no effect. Desperate to crush him, the Overlord unleashes its sonic hell attack, blasting a massive shockwave directly at him. The shockwave tears through the cavern, but Chan stands firm while the battered Gong Ting buckles under the pressure, screaming in pain. Locking its eyes on the boy, the Overlord watches as Chan stares back with glowing eyes, heading straight for the shield. Panic hits the Overlord. It stammers in shock, unable to understand how its attack did absolutely nothing. The Overlord orders its summons to tear Chan to pieces, sending a giant shadowy serpent lunging straight at him. Chan tightens his grip on his glowing sword and, with one heavy swing, splits the monster's head in two. The lifeless beast crashes down, but two more massive serpents instantly plunge at him from above. Bracing himself, he swings his heavy sword in a massive arc, cleanly taking both their heads off. With his path cleared, Chan charges directly at the Overlord. The monster sneers, bragging that its barrier is unbreakable. Chan just smiles, leaping high into the air right above the glowing green shield. System notifications instantly alert him. Stellar Warrior activated. Ashen Collapse activates, pulling the remaining strength from the fallen monster corpses to feed his own power as Chan lets out a roar. Watch this, he slams his sword down with everything he has, completely shattering the barrier while the Overlord stares in total disbelief. Gong Ting can't believe his eyes. His rival literally shattered that massive barrier in one hit. Chan drops his weapon, charging his fist with blinding light. The system immediately confirms the activation of triple cataclysm in crushing mode. He punches straight through the Overlord's chest, blowing it apart with an explosion of raw force and slamming the massive beast into the dirt. As the smoke clears from the crater, the ruined Overlord, now just a shadowy remnant, mutters that it is half dead. Standing over the broken creature, Chan demands it to start talking. He wants to know its connection to Wrath. The monster is stunned, asking how a mere human could possibly know Lord Wrath's name, but Chan just demands answers. Spitting back, the beast laughs. If it actually knew where the Demon King was, it would not be rotting in this dungeon. Chan freezes as the implication hits him. Someone in this world actually managed to seal Wrath away. The Overlord bursts into manic laughter, warning that Lord Wrath will rise again to reclaim his armies and slaughter every single human down to the bone. Rupturing completely, the Overlord's core dissolves into the cold air. Chan reaches out as the system activates, quickly devouring the monster's glowing green essence. The system confirms the absorption, granting Chan a powerful new mage class called Phantom Sorcerer, complete with the Overlord's psychic attacks and barrier skills. His level shoots straight up to 25, earning 3 rare black scale snake galls. Reviewing the stats, Chan finally connects the dots. Wrath didn't just spawn out of nowhere in the future. The Demon King was already locked inside their world long before the real invasion even started. A massive hidden conflict occurred in the past to seal him away, and Chan knows absolutely nothing about it. His thoughts break when he notices Gong Ting limping toward him. Injured and coughing up blood, Gong Ting admits he never expected to face a dual-class user. He concedes that Chan is on an entirely different level, declaring him the winner of their duel. Gonging promises that Chen's secret is safe. He promises to take everything he saw to his grave, but his strength gives out, coughing up blood. He slumps against the cavern wall. Chen urges him to hang on. Now that the Overlord is dead, the dungeon exit should open up and the rescue teams will arrive. Then, Chen freezes. A passive skill triggers, warning him. The system forces a shared vision, showing him exactly what Leo is seeing. A hostile man radiates dark, swirling energy. Chen realizes where Leo is and yells his sister's name. Through the link, he sees an awakener with glowing green eyes, commanding creepy, shadow tentacles. This freak is cornering a terrified Yoon, who clutches Leo tightly, trying to shield the cub from the dark tentacles. Late afternoon on June 24th, Yoon is making her way back home through the city's narrow streets. Ever since leaving the convenience store, some seriously creepy shadows have been matching her every step. 2 smirking thugs are trailing right behind her. Tucked away deep inside her backpack, little Leo easily senses the hostility too, letting out a tiny, protective growl. Feeling her bag shift, Yoon asks if he senses the danger too. But instead of panicking, she gently taps her bag, telling her little partner to stay completely hidden inside. Rather than getting scared, Yoon looks back with a brave grin. Honestly, she's almost glad they followed because her boring night just got interesting. Instincts kick in. Rule number 1 when you're being followed is finding a crowd. Charging down a flight of stairs, she heads right for the busy market. Around this time of evening, the local restaurant row is absolutely packed. Using the chaotic dinner rush to her advantage, she quickly slips right into the sea of people. She effortlessly blends in with shoppers and diners to break their line of sight. Behind her, the thugs are quickly losing ground. The beanie-wearing thug starts aggressively shoving people aside, frantically trying to force his way through the dense crowd. But Yoon's evasion game is on point, The millisecond they get distracted and look away, she vanishes into thin air. Both thugs are left standing right in the middle of the street, completely baffled. They panic, looking around for any sign of her. Meanwhile, Si-yoon slips into a quiet, dark alley to hide. She catches her breath. Relieved, she looks back to find those stalkers are finally gone. Just as Si-yoon thinks she's managed to escape, a heavy step echoes right in front of her. She freezes in her tracks, shocked to find a shady older man with slicked-back white hair standing right on her apartment steps. Casually puffing on a cigarette, he mockingly complains about waiting forever because the front door is locked. Talk about a trap, she suddenly realizes this is a coordinated setup. Terrified, Si-yoon backs away, demanding to know who they are and how they figured out where she lives. Before she can get answers, the two thugs catch up and block her exit, laughing about how fast the little chick can run. She is trapped. Si-yoon tries to make a desperate run for it. Dashing down the corridor, she hears the hunters laugh at her futile attempt. But these aren't ordinary thugs, they're awakeners. Suddenly, a blast of frost magic shoots out, freezing her foot solid to the cold ground. This momentum sends her crashing face first onto the hard pavement, knocking her backpack away. Her frozen foot feels completely shattered as a glowing blue hand looms over her. The disgusting beanie thug stands there, drooling like a total psycho. He mockingly asks if she's all tired out, telling her to take a little breather and keep him entertained. Just as the stalker is about to lay hands on her, Si-yoon screams in panic. But before the creep can even touch her, a massive spectral paw slams directly into his face with absolutely devastating force. The brutal impact sends him flying backward to crash on the pavement, completely surprising their white-haired leader. As a heavy thud rattles the pavement, a colossal, majestic white lion steps directly in front of a trembling Si-yoon. Si-yoon is shocked, staring at the glowing beast. Her eyes widen in disbelief as she realizes this legendary predator is actually her little Leo. Meanwhile, the bleeding beanie thug screams in absolute horror. He frantically yells to his partner, crying that their client never mentioned they would have to fight an overpowered monster lion. Leo lets out a massive, earth-shaking roar that echoes through the entire alleyway. Terrified, the remaining stalker completely panics. Yellow lightning crackles frantically around his fists in a desperate, last-ditch effort to protect himself. But holding that massive, legendary form is just too draining for a baby cub. And right after his big heroic entrance, Leo's energy completely drains, immediately detransforming him, shrinking right back down to his cute, tiny self and tumbling onto his back, completely dizzy. Seeing her fluffy little guardian pass out instantly from pure exhaustion, Si-yoon panics and scoops her tiny champion right up into her arms, frantically checking to make sure he is going to be okay after burning through all his energy. Seeing this legendary lion shrink back so quickly into a helpless, dizzy baby, the white-haired leader stares down with absolute disappointment, scoffing and muttering that he actually thought this beast would be something truly special. With a cold snap of his fingers, he decides to end the game, unleashing his own terrifying power. Massive. Thorny wooden roots violently rip right up through the concrete floor, swarming the narrow alleyway as he sneers that the cub couldn't even hold its form for 10 seconds. The giant writhing vines swirl and coil around Si-yoon, trapping her in a thorny living cage while she clutches a dazed Leo tightly to her chest. She desperately warns the man to back off, but those warnings mean absolutely nothing to a seasoned killer like him. Tightening the sharp, thorny branches closer and closer to her face, the leader coldly tells her not to waste his time, issuing a terrifying ultimatum. She can either hand over the beast herself, or he'll gladly rip it away from her cold corpse. But get this, just as the leader's trap closes, Leo's eyes suddenly flare with light, triggering his legendary contract skill, Stellar Warp. Channeling his mental energy, a massive warp portal bursts open, and in a brilliant flash of pink light, Chen teleports directly to Leo's location and delivers a devastating kick straight to the leader's face. The raw kinetic impact of the teleport strike sends the thug flying backward like a ragdoll, crashing brutally right through the metal garbage bins. Chen calmly turns to his sister and apologizes for being late, explaining that his dungeon raid took a bit longer than expected before checking if she and Leo are doing okay. Meanwhile, honestly, can you blame the hooded thug for being completely bewildered, wondering where this absolute monster spawned from while his sister frantically tries to explain, warning him that she has no clue how they tracked her down and that they are all high-level awakeners. But Chen just looks back with a reassuring smile, telling her to take a deep breath because her big brother is here. Meanwhile, the leader slowly emerges from the rubble. Seeing his easy plan instantly fall apart, he snaps, completely furious at himself for letting his guard down. With thorny wooden roots coiling tightly around his body, he screams out that Chen has just made the single biggest mistake of his life, swearing to deliver their severed heads back to his client and demand triple the payout. But our boy doesn't even flinch. Clenching his fists as golden lightning begins to crackle violently around his knuckles, Chen calmly tells his sister to get behind him and stay there, promising that this won't take long at all.